Good evening. We're going to start our meeting. If everyone could be seated, please. Thank you. Thank you. My name is Helen Anthony. I'm the chair of the Committee on Finance, and I'm calling to order our regular meeting on Tuesday, June 4th, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Madam Clerk, if you would please call the roll.
Chairwoman Anthony.
Present.
Vice Chairman Taylor.
Here.
Councilor Enderwall.
Present.
Councilwoman Graves. Present. Councilor Sanchez. 5 present, no absent. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. I also want to recognize that we have some counselors that are joining us this evening. We have Councilor Vargas. Thank you very much. We have Councilor Harris. Thank you. We have Councilor Gonsalves. Thank you very much. And the rest of us are committee members, I think. Oh, I'm sorry. Councilor Peterson, thank you for joining us. I'd also like to thank our legal counsel, Ken Cheverini, and our wonderful clerks. So thank you very much.
So noted.
So we are going to, I'll have them read the first agenda item, please, Madam Clerk.
Item 1, resolution of the City Council authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement with Achievement First Rhode Island, Inc. and Excel Academy, Rhode Island for an initial period not to exceed 30 years and total period not to exceed 60 years for the property at the Carl G. Laurel Elementary School on 99 Canyon Street.
Thank you. So what we're going to do this evening is I just want to give everyone an overview on how we'll be running the meeting this evening. We are going to ask the presenters, which will be the members of city administration and also the Achievement First and Excel will be presenting first. And then I will allow any council members, committee members to ask them questions. And then I am going to have anyone who would like to speak who has signed up. I will give you 2 minutes, but I am going to say that if the testimony is repetitive, I am going to ask you not to testify. If it's too repetitive, we would like you to organize yourselves if you can, if you have something to say, and one person or 2 people or 3 people, however many, can speak. I certainly would also recognize people at the end by those who are in favor of this lease by standing, and those, again, who are against the lease standing, just so that we can see you in the numbers. But we have a lot of people here, and I would like everyone to lean into the mic. Speak clearly. It's so bad to hear and hear, so I appreciate your cooperation. So with that, we will start with the presenters. Yeah, I will. Yeah. Yeah, if you can help me. I mean, not them, but yeah. Thank you. And I brought us.
Can you hear me? Okay, good.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. My name is Courtney Hawkins, and I serve as Chief Operating Officer for the city. Thank you for the opportunity to provide you tonight with an overview of the proposed lease before you for the building at 99 Kenyon Street. By way of background, this building has been used as a public school since it was built in the 1920s. In December 2022, PPSD announced the closure of Carl Laurel and notified the city of its plans to return the now empty building to the city for future use. In direct response to feedback provided by this body, as it had related to previous school spaces, the administration released an RFP in December of 2023 that sought bidders for 2 potential uses of the building. 1, for the development of residential property, or 2, for continued use of the building as a public school. This was a public, competitive process. The administration received 4 bids in response to the RFP, 3 for school uses and 1 for residential use. Bids were then evaluated against the established scoring criteria, and an award was made to a combined bid submitted by Achievement First and Excel Academy. In short, their proposal demonstrated a clear plan for use of the building, a capacity to improve the facility, and specific identified funding that would be required to make those improvements. As it relates to the residential use proposed, the estimated cost of the renovation was more than $40 million. The two public schools selected to use this building have already been authorized for seats by RIDE and are currently serving Providence students. It's important to consider this because both schools have significant waiting lists, and the identification of space for their use is critical to the quality of education that their current and future students will experience in both the near and long term. If these schools don't have access to a public building for use, they will still expand, but will likely use a commercial building. This diverts funding that could go to teaching and learning to a commercial landlord's profit, and the future of this site will remain unknown. After the award was made, the administration worked with both schools to negotiate a lease that protects the city's interests and supports the success of students that will serve, success of the schools that will serve nearly 1,000 Providence children in the years to come. At a high level, the lease is for a term of 30 years for $1 a year with 3 successive 10-year renewals. It requires the schools to invest $14.3 million in the building during its term, and it requires the schools to care for the building, including all of the maintenance and utility costs. I know questions have been raised about the $1 a year concept. It's worth noting that the city, this is typical practice for the city in renting buildings to nonprofits. We have more than a dozen of this type of lease or arrangement currently in place. That said, the requirement for the entity to maintain this particular building has not been typically included in other agreements. And as such, the city has many $1 a year leases that require the city to maintain all of the liability associated with those buildings. This is not the case for this lease. Again, in this circumstance, the leaseholders will make significant improvements and take responsibility for the building maintenance and improvements while the city retains ownership. Further, because charter schools don't have funding awarded specifically for lease costs, charging schools money for rent of this building would just be taking public funding away from students, which could otherwise be used for teaching, learning, and other programming. The administration also incorporated a number of standards in this lease based on feedback from the council and conversations regarding other charter leases. For example, the school must maintain active charters with RIDE. In a circumstance where a charter is revoked, the lease would be voided. Further, as mentioned, the lessee is responsible for building improvements and maintenance and must report to both the administration and the council annually about these improvements. So in closing, I ask for your support of this lease for 3 reasons. 1, it supports existing high-quality public schools, ensuring that schools which have already been authorized and will exist with or without this building can fully be implemented, and that Providence families can make the choice they want to make for their children's education. 2, it makes good use of public infrastructure, ensuring that public dollars don't have to be invested in commercial spaces instead of teaching, learning, and programming for Providence children. And finally, it was awarded through an open and transparent public process and provides for the investment of millions of dollars into a public building while also ensuring this building is maintained into the future without any cost to the city. With that, I'd like to turn it over to the teams from Achievement First and Excel, who will tell you more about their schools.
Good evening. My name is Owen Stearns. I'm the CEO of Excel Academy Charter Schools. Thank you, Chairwoman, for the opportunity to speak with you all today about what we recognize as a complicated and important issue, the future use of the former Carl G. Lauro School at 99 Kenyon Street. We would love to operate a neighborhood school there for our families, which is why more than 300 Excel and Achievement First families have written individual letters of support and made phone calls to you, their council representatives, and why hundreds of them are here at City Hall today. Before getting to that, I just wanted to take a couple minutes to introduce you all to Excel, as we are relatively new to Rhode Island and probably new to most of you. Excel was founded in 2003 to serve students and families in East Boston and Chelsea, historically immigrant communities that currently have largely Latino Latinx populations. I was part of the school's founding, along with a few key community leaders who were eager to have more high-quality public options for students in their community. That core belief that schools have to exist in partnership with their surrounding communities has been with us since our founding, and it's something we still believe in strongly today. Over the past 21 years, we have grown from that one middle school to 3 middle schools and a high school in Massachusetts that collectively serve around 1,400 students. And we opened our school in Rhode Island last year, which currently serves 200 5th and 6th graders. Our mission is to prepare students to succeed in high school and college, apply their learning to solve relevant problems, and engage productively in their communities. And I want to say a little bit more about the first part of that mission, as it informs a lot of our work. Families enroll their children at Excel because of their profound ambitions they have for their children. We commit to meeting those ambitions with an education that prepares them for college, not just to graduate high school, but to prepare them for college and career success. In helping our students prepare for that goal, we do 2 main things. First, we have an academic program that is rigorous and inclusive. Some of our students end up at the top universities in this country, and we want to make sure they're ready for that. And about 20% of our students qualify for special education services, including some with more significant needs who are in a sub-separate or self-contained program, and we are passionate about serving them with excellence as well. Incidentally, that program is run by Kelly Garcia, who is an Excel Academy alum and a member of the City Council of the town of Chelsea, Massachusetts, our first alum in elected office. Our student attrition rate is consistently one of the lowest in the Boston area, usually between 4% and 6% a year, and that attrition rate is even lower for our students with disabilities and our multilingual learner students. Second, we work closely with each student to help them explore and understand their identities and their goals in life, so that they make a more informed choice about what they're doing after high school. This is best illustrated through our College Access and Post-Secondary Success program. We call it our CAPS program. It's a 10-person team that supports students from when they start in 5th grade through up to 6 years after they graduate from high school. Our first high school graduating class was in 2019, 5 years ago. 56% of that class has now graduated from a 4-year college. 75% of them have a productive post-secondary outcome, including 5 members of that class who are now teaching at Excel, joining over 20 other alums currently working in our schools. Like all charter public schools, our students are admitted through an open, blind lottery that is monitored by RIDE. It's a free common application that only asks for your name, your address, the age and names of your child or children, which school they currently attend, and parent contact information. It is available in multiple languages. The only preference in the lottery is if you have a sibling at the school or if you are a child of a staff member, to make things logistically easier for parents. To ensure as many families are aware of our school, we do a lot of outreach across the communities we serve. We attend community events, particularly in Providence, given most of our students are from there, and our campus in North Providence makes it hard to know we exist. We have ads on Spanish radio, billboards, rip-to advertisements, and social media. All of our communications are in English and Spanish. Like all public schools in both Rhode Island and Massachusetts, tuition follows the student. And our schools operate within the public funding that we receive from the state and federal government based on our enrollment. We do raise money privately for 2 things. First, for growth, and particularly real estate connected to growth. Since charters have to both find and largely fund their own buildings, we have to raise money for that. And second, for the portion of our CAPS team that supports our students after high school. We started our school in North Providence 2 years ago, and we've invested over $6 million in that building to make it suitable and safe for our students and staff. Roughly 80% of our students in that school are from Providence. Those students drive or take the bus to attend school every day, often more than 20 minutes, often more than 20-minute commute each way. This takes us to the current conversation about our efforts to revitalize the former Carl G. Lauro School at 99 Kenyon Street. As Courtney said, we participated in a rigorous and transparent RFP process, competed with other schools and housing developers. Our joint proposal, Achievement First, as you heard, was viewed as the strongest applicant and includes a commitment to invest more than $14 million to renovate this historic building and give our families a new home in their neighborhood. As we do with our existing campuses, we were eager to make the building accessible and valuable for shared use by the broader community. Finally, I want to underline that we have an approved plan to expand the number of students we serve from RIDE. The question is where those students, public school students, 80% of whom live in Providence, will be at school. There's obviously a lot more to a 21-year-long story, and I'm happy to answer any questions either this evening or another time. I know there are a lot of more people to hear from. So in closing, I want to come back to a question that President Miller asked last week when she was visiting with us. She said she's been asking everyone this question, so I'm guessing it won't be new to you. What is preventing us from providing every student in Providence with the high-quality educational experience they deserve? It's a question I've been thinking a lot about. I wish there was a simple answer to it. I'm grateful that she asked it, though. I would say this. We at Excel, and I personally, believe strongly in public education. We also believe in a parent's right to choose a public education that best fits their child, and they should have access to a range of quality educational options. Answering this question also requires us, all of us, invested in this work, to be in productive dialogue with each other, which is why I'm grateful to have this time together this evening. We are highly motivated to do our part in collaboration with you and others, not just for students who go to Excel and Achievement First, but for all Providence students. We respectfully ask that you approve our proposed lease and look forward to working together with you on this important issue. I want to introduce Alejandra Gill, who is an Excel alum and our Director of Talent.
Mr. Stearns, is it possible? We'll let you finish your presentation, but I know I have some questions, so go right
Do you
ahead.
want to let Alejandra speak first? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Alejandra Gill, and I'm a proud Excel Academy Charter Public School alumna and currently serve as the Director of Talent for Excel. I am proud to be one of over 20 Excel alums who are currently on staff, close to 10% of Excel's staff. In my role now, I have interviewed thousands of candidates who want to work in schools as teachers and administrators. We have hired people from all walks of life who believe in our mission. Excel's mission is to provide a free, high-quality education to students that prepares them to succeed in high school and college, apply their learning to solve relevant problems, and engage productively in their communities. Today, I will share the story of how Excel Academy changed the trajectory of my life and why I believe that providing this education in the community where our students and families live make this possible. I was born in Medellin, Colombia, and moved to the United States when I was 5 years old. Like many immigrant families, my family was seeking two things: safety and better educational opportunities for their children. In 2005, my parents heard about a new school that had opened in my neighborhood. My parents were eager to sign me up to the lottery, and we went in person back then to fill out the paper application. The school was safe, promised to support me to and through college. There were college banners everywhere. It was located where I lived and near public transportation, and it set really clear and high expectations for every student that signed up that day. The teachers and administrators welcomed us with huge smiles. Excel was everything my parents had dreamed of when they moved to the US. What they didn't know at the time is that Excel would also provide me with tools and resources to navigate the complexities of being an undocumented student. My Excel education, without a doubt, prepared me to tackle rigorous academics I faced in high school and eventually in college. My teachers had molded me into a confident writer, a thoughtful reader, and a curious mathematician. As a student, I was often paired with others who did not yet speak English fluently and needed additional support from their classmates and from our teacher. I received so much support and validation that my identity as a strong student was unshakable. Eventually, I graduated high school and attended Middlebury College in Vermont, where I studied psychology and education. I knew I wanted to work with kids and make an impact in my community. So in 2016, 8 years ago, I returned to Excel, this time as a special education teacher, and pursued a master's degree in curriculum and instruction with a focus in special education at Boston University, so that I could be best equipped to support my students. I co-taught chemistry and Spanish. I supported all of my students with IEPs and 504 plans to ensure that they could all access our school. My favorite part of the day was leading and translating meetings with families. At Excel, we make special education jargon accessible and ensure that parents and students are active participants in their children's education. I was later promoted to a leadership role in special education, where I founded our compliance department and ensured that every student had a thoughtful post-secondary transition plan in their IEP when they graduated high school. Eventually, several years later, I took a professional leap and transitioned to a talent recruitment role, where I work and have the opportunity to speak with candidates and share my love for Excel, our mission, and our track record of 20+ years of success in Massachusetts. None of this would have been possible without preparation, support, and validation from my Excel family. Before you today, I am honored to lead our recruitment work in Rhode Island, where we currently serve 200 students and where families are just as eager as mine were to provide their children with high quality, free education in the neighborhoods that they call home. What I want you to know more than anything is that what Excel did for me in my formative years and what it did for my family changed the trajectory of my life. This is why I returned to Excel as a teacher. It is why I am here today to ensure that our Providence, Central Falls, and North Providence children have the opportunity to receive an education that gives them tools, knowledge, and confidence in their home community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I thank you, Mr. Stearns. I thank you so much for the presentation. I had one of my questions answered. I'm sure you already have said the number of students. So you have 200 students currently in 5th and 6th grade. Is that?
Correct. Yes, we'll have about 300 next year. We're adding close to 100 next year. We're building modular units in our parking lot in North Providence to house those students. But after that, we don't have a permanent facility for those students.
Okay, and what is your plan for growth should you be successful in this lease?
So at the former Carl G. Loro School, we would have a little over 500 students in a K-8 school there. Our charter is for a K-12 school, so we would need to find a high school building at some point. We are actively looking for that as well.
Okay, and I just have one more question, then allow our committee members and council members to ask questions. Of the current 200 students, you said you had some with special needs. What is the percentage or number?
It's about 9% right now.
Okay. And just one final question. On your blind application and free application, I would imagine do you have more applicants than seats
yes,
normally?
I should have probably said this in my presentation.
Thank
We
you.
have over 300 students on our wait list currently.
And then how do you choose which students to accept? Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so there's a blind lottery, and the way it works is students who apply before the lottery deadline, which is usually around early March, they are put in a blind lottery. A computer spits out who's enrolled from that batch. There's then a wait list that's formed after that. People can still apply after that. They go to the bottom of the wait list from there, and then we enroll those students. If someone drops out before the school starts or after the school starts, they get picked from that wait list.
And there's nothing other than name and address, is that correct?
I think I said a few other things, contact information, the age of your child, but that's it. It's a name, address, contact info, basically.
Okay.
There's no essay, there's no send in your grades, anything like that.
Any questions about the ability of the students?
No. We're legally not allowed to do that. We would never do that anyway, but no. It's
Okay.
just the basic information of where you live and what's the age of your child.
Okay, I'm going to open it up. Do our committee members have any questions? Yes, Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you so much for the information. especially for sharing your story. I think that story is one that a lot of us can relate to. My only question is, what's the percentage of ESL students in your schools right now?
Yeah, we classify as multilingual learners. It's about the same. It's about 9% as well.
So when you say 9%, is that in the North Providence or overall?
Overall, of the 200 students, it's about 9%. About 80% of our students are from Providence.
Okay.
And the other 20% are split between Central Falls and North Providence.
Okay, so I just wanted to be clear. So when you're talking about these percentages, it's your Rhode Island-based students, not
Yes.
Massachusetts-based.
That's exactly
All
right.
right.
Yes.
Thank you.
The percentages are higher in Massachusetts, and I would say I think what we experienced in Massachusetts was that number is lower than we would like, I would say, lower than the district average. In Massachusetts, we are at the district average. What we found in Massachusetts was in the first few years, we had a harder time attracting students with special needs. As a parent of special needs myself, I can relate to this. Like, you may not want to gamble on a brand new school.
Right.
And the fact that we're in North Providence, do you want to put your kid on a bus 20 minutes each way? So I think that is somewhat contributing. You know, our goal is to be matching the district on that number, essentially.
So just to confirm, so 9% of your students at the North Providence are in special education and about 9% are in ESL?
Yes, correct, yes.
Thank you.
You're using, we describe them as multilingual learners.
Multilingual,
but
okay.
yes, exactly. Yeah.
Did you mention 20% in your speech? What's that number?
That's the number in Massachusetts.
Okay. And then my last question, so you were talking about transportation. Do you offer transportation to all your students then?
Yes, we do. We have a bus to get our students from Providence up to North Providence right now. We would continue to provide transportation even if the school's in Federal Hill, because some people don't live right in Federal Hill, obviously.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Counselor Graves.
I can't hear you. I can hear you. It's okay.
No. Hold on, because we need to make sure everyone hears the question.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes, gotcha.
Okay. You said something about accepting siblings and
Children of staff members.
children of staff members. So how is that? You said kind of blind. How is that blind?
Fair enough. Those people are moved to the top of the list on the lottery. So if you have a sibling at the school, you go to the top of the list in the lottery. If you're the child of a staff member, you're at the top of the list. After that, it is blind. I think that's a fair clarification.
Okay. And I appreciate your story. I think the statement though was, the families are happy to be able to enroll their children into a place that they feel like they're going to get all the best education and all these other things. Don't all families feel that way? They want to have their kids in whatever school to get the best education and things. So I think sometimes it's like we're pitting the kids and we're pitting the families between charter schools and public schools. And I really think we need to step away from that because words matter, and I think sometimes we get to the point where we think this is elitism, if I have this one, I'm better, and so that's just a comment.
Can I respond to the comment?
Of course.
Yes, please.
I appreciate you making it, and I think we totally agree. Apologies if we came across as trying to pit one against the other. I think our point is we would like parents to be able to choose, and not in an elitist way, just what's the best environment for their child. Some school may be better for their child. It may be a district school. It might be a public charter school. We just would like parents to have that choice.
Okay, I just would like to recognize we have the council president, Miller, with us. We have Pro Tem Pichardo. We have Councilor Espinal. Thank you for joining us. Does anyone have any more questions for the speaker? Yes, Councilor Anderbaugh.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Just a quick note, not a question, because you answered all my questions. I just wanted to say thank you again for the tour and the conversation last week where you answered my questions, and Councilor Sanchez re-asked a lot of the ones I had. So just thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you, Counselor.
Hold on, we have Counselor Peterson.
Can you hear me? Okay, good. I want to make sure that people can hear me because I often talk low. Thank you very much for being here. I would have appreciated a tour as well, not gonna lie, but whatever.
We did send an invite. we were happy to come anytime.
One of the questions that I have, and this is a general question, and I often ask it of the schools that are in my district, in my ward. What sets you apart? You've given a wonderful description, but what sets you apart?
I should have a quicker answer to that question. I do think the support we provide our students all the way through up to 6 years after they graduate is significant and different than a lot of schools. That 10 full-time person team. So, and that's led to a high completion rate for college, and I think percentage of our kids who are successful in their careers and who come back to work at Excel. I think that's created a very close, tight-knit community within Excel. I think that's one thing. I think being rigorous and inclusive is really hard. I know there are a lot of educators here. It's hard for us. I think it's to have students who are going to some of the top universities in the country and students who are, have a significant special need. To be able to serve that wide range of students is very difficult. I think we do that pretty well. So those are the two things I'd probably maintain. What would you like to add?
I would also say in my experience, seeing the investment of the families and the students and having them come to our schools and share their feedback, share their thinking, and having people there that are really open to listening and making shifts and changes and adapting to those needs is really special. We are responsive, we are available, and we want every family member to feel that they can walk in our schools.
Can I ask a follow-up? Chair, is it okay to ask a follow-up?
Yes, please.
Okay,
You go right ahead with your questions.
So I took a look at your report card. Every school has a report card in the state. And in terms of the things that are most measured, math and English proficiency, it seems to be completely on par or as the standard of, or currently what we have within the city. So I asked the question again because what we're being told is that you offer an opportunity for something more, for something better, and not to use the word elite, but something that we're not receiving now. So again, I'd like to ask, what sets you apart if the data is showing us that you're pretty much on the level with what the city of Providence is currently doing?
Yeah, I really appreciate that question. The first thing I'd say is that our first year in operation in Rhode Island, we didn't meet the standard that we expect for ourselves, and our student performance, our performance was not where we want it to be. I would say I think our performance this year will show up better, and I hope the data will show that. I would ask you to look at 20 years of data in Massachusetts, where we significantly outperform both the city and the state averages over time. I'd also say, back to not trying to pit schools against each other, even if the scores are the same, I would like students to have more choice. It's a different environment. It is support through college. There are aspects of our school that are different in the same way as there are aspects of traditional district schools that are different. I would like parents to have that choice. So. Thank you.
Yes, please, Council President.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have a question. I would just ask that everyone speak loudly into the microphone. It's very difficult, and to try and be quiet in the chambers as much as possible. It's very difficult to hear.
Yes, I appreciate that. And Councilor Peterson, I'm going to ask you to move over, because if the speaker is trying to turn around and answer you directly, which is very respectful, thank you. It would be easier if they could face forward. And yes, it is very difficult to hear because there's a lot of noise from people who are seated. So please, everything echoes. If there's noise going on, if you could leave the chamber so we can hear each other, I'd really appreciate it. All right, Councilor Gonsalves.
Thank you. Thank you so much for testimony. Can you hear me?
Got you, yes.
Okay, great. Well, I just want to thank you for those heartfelt stories, and I'm looking through the reports as well. So what's the difference, the differentiator in your pedagogy, your philosophy? I have an educational background. I know this very intimately. I'd just be curious to hear what separates you, again, from our public school system.
From an educational pedagogy standpoint,
Sure.
I'm not the chief schools officer at Excel, so I'm still not speaking to the mic. Thank you, President. So what I'd say is I think we try to hold a very high bar for our students, and we try to provide a lot of support for them to get there at the base level. We have a standards-aligned curriculum. I don't think that's different from a lot of other traditional public schools. And I think we serve a similar percentage of students who have special needs. So I'm not sure there's like on the educational pedagogy, I don't think that's where we're differentiated. I think where we're differentiated is our support for students all the way through college and beyond. And I think we're differentiated in being able to provide rigor in a way that prepares students for that. I don't think our differentiation is at the pedagogical level.
Sure, so those are very broad strokes, but what does that look like in a context of a classroom? Is it smaller class sizes? Do you have push-in, pull-in support? Are there instructional interventionists? What does that actually look like physically in a classroom?
Yeah.
And what's the philosophy? Is it responsive pedagogy? Is it just from I'm trying to understand sort of the educational philosophy, but beyond broad strokes here.
I'm afraid I think I'm only able to give you broad strokes. I would love to follow up offline with people in our schools who are more intimate. I think as an educator yourself, they could have a better conversation with you than I think I could have about that. I just don't want to go too far off the things that I know and say things that are inaccurate.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Counselor Gonsalves, I'm going to ask you to move over one seat, please. Again, we're having this trouble. We need everyone to squish to each side so that we can please have someone facing us. Okay, Counselor Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. So I'll be honest, one of the very concerning parts, in my opinion, of this lease is obviously the dollar amount. I think that's here, there, whatever, but the more concerning issue is the $14 million over 30 years. So this school was closed last year in a pretty unfortunate way, a way that we have all encouraged for school closures to not happen, and they're still happening in that sense. And I know that has nothing to do with you, but that's just the reality of the climate right now. A lot of families still have those emotions and feelings, and those are very well and alive. So I say that because, in my opinion, $14 million over 30 years. That school was said to needed over $30 million in renovations. So the $14 million isn't even half of what it needs to be safe, warm, and dry, I think is what RIDE PPSD uses. So that's a very concerning part. So my next question, I guess, is since you are a newer institution, I think you said 20 years or so, and you have mentioned that you do private fundraising. What's your financial rainy day fund? Say that roof fell completely apart next year, which might happen. Are you in your organization in a financial standpoint to be able to cover costs like that? Or is there certain safety nets that you have that might help you in a case of a worst case scenario like this?
Yeah, I appreciate the question. First, can I answer what the $14 million is going to, just so you have a sense of that, which I don't think is spelled out in the response. One of the things is it's not an ADA compliant school, particularly upper levels, and so adding an elevator, adding ramps, that feels pretty critical to do. The roof is one of the things that's on the list to do right away, and of that $14 million, close to half of that would be spent before the students move in. We would need a year. If this was approved this summer, we'd need a year to do that first wave of improvements that would include the roof before we would move students in the fall. So the roof is one. HVAC upgrades. I know there are people who went to school at Lauro or taught at the school, and I think they can speak to the importance of that. Extensive classroom renovations, electrical technology, security improvements, and there's this fair amount of asbestos in the building, and so encapsulating that. I'd be happy to go into our finances in more depth if you'd like. I think $14 million over 30 years is, and we're sharing this with Achievement First, so that's essentially half us, half Achievement First. My strong guess is we will be spending a lot more than 14 million, certainly over 30 years. Like I think anyone who's owned a building can tell you that costs creep up and things tend to be more expensive rather than less. In designing the RFP, there was a walkthrough that was a 2 to 3 hour walkthrough, and we based our estimate based on that relatively brief walkthrough. I'm guessing it'll be more. I'd say one part of our finances, we did receive a significant gift from Mackenzie Scott, the ex-wife of Jeff Bezos, a year ago. That provides a nest egg that I think would provide an emergency cushion if we needed it.
Thank you. Follow-up question?
Yes, Councilor Sanchez, and please keep in mind, councilors and committee members, that we have only heard from Excel. He's getting peppered with all the questions, but we do
I
have
appreciate the dialogue.
Achievement First coming in right behind. But anyway.
We'll ask the same questions to Achievement First.
Oh,
Chairwoman.
good. All right, just as long as you do. All right.
So they get ready.
Thank you. In my last question, it kind of arose one of my colleagues' questions. So one of the clear differences between you and Providence Public School high school is that you offer 6 years of additional help after graduation. What funds are used for that type of help? And then I guess, can you give some examples of that type of help?
Sure. So we have this 10-person CAPS team, College Access Post-Secondary Success. About half of that team is supporting our students when they're still students at Excel. That part we cover within the public funding that we receive from the state and federal government. The 6 years afterwards, we feel is extraordinary programming, and if we try to operate within the public dollar, we feel like that's an extraordinary expense we should raise money for, and that's about $500,000 a year against a budget that's in the tens of millions of dollars. So it's 1 to 2% of our overall budget. So we do fundraise for that. Those counselors are when the students are in school, we're doing a lot of, I sort of referenced it, exploring your identity. What are your goals in life? Like we want you to be asking those tough questions when you're still a student with us, because we can help guide you and help you ask those tough questions before you go to college, which can tend to be the most unstructured time of your life, and you may not have someone to help you ask those questions. When you get to college, we have essentially a counseling model. We have a counselor for every 150, 200 students. They're checking in with that student regularly. 80+% of our students are first-generation college goers. That kind of support we view as critical. A human capital. And most of the staff have been there with us for a long time. A friendly voice when you run into a struggle, in college, is sort of a critical. We view it as a critical piece of the program. Does that answer the question? Thanks.
All right. The Pro Tem has been waiting. I'm so sorry, Pro Tem. We cannot hear you. Nope. Here, why don't you borrow, there you go.
Okay.
Yep, there we go.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the opportunity. Thank you for your presentation. I forget your name and I wasn't writing the name. So both for your information and also your interpretation, and obviously your story of being a student and now an alumni and a professional within the school. It certainly is inspiring for other students, just like in any other of our schools. Specifically, Director, correct? President, CEO?
Whatever.
Of Excel?
Yes. Yes.
You're here full-time, not in Massachusetts?
No, I'm split between both states. I'm here a couple days a week usually.
So
we have a principal of the school here in Rhode Island who runs the school day to day. And I run the network that is now 5 schools, 4 in Massachusetts and 1 in Rhode Island.
So you're like the superintendent of the schools?
Yes.
And in Excel, there's a principal?
Principal for each of the 5 schools, yes. And there's someone else, as you could tell from my answer to Councilor Goncalves' question, there's someone else who manages the principals and who knows much more about the educational pedagogy than I do. Okay, great.
So here in Rhode Island, just have one of those?
We just have 1 school.
Exactly. Yeah. And you're in North Providence. Now, do you own the building currently?
We do. We purchased that building a couple of years ago, yeah.
So you just indicated also that you've invested about $6 million.
Correct.
Is it your plan to keep that building also and expand with the partnership with Achievement First?
Yes, I think as is probably clear from our proposal, it's hard to find school facilities in this area, and so we're not sure exactly how we'll use that space. It could be, you know, an incubation space for future schools, but we certainly tend to hold on to it. We're not totally sure of our enrollment pattern, how many of the kids will be at the Carl G. Lauro School versus this school, but we intend to keep it.
So you don't know how many kids you can expand to at Carl G. Lauro?
No.
From your end, right? Because Achievement First will have their own piece, and you
Yes.
will have your own. So
We will have
what is your projection? What was your proposal through the RFP?
Yeah, sorry. At the Carl G. Lauro School, we would have a K-8 school that would have a little more than 500 students in it. What happens to the building in North Providence is still a little bit to be determined, depending on, I mean, there are a lot of variables out there that we're trying to manage, but we intend to keep the building for potential future use.
Right. And the arrangement with Achievement First, can you speak a little bit about that? How does that work?
Yeah, sure. If you know the building, it's shaped like an E or an M, depending on how you're looking at it, with 2 gyms in the middle of the building and a cafeteria. We intend to sort of split it. We will take the east wing, they will take the west wing of the building. We each will take a gym. The cafeteria would be a shared space. We're still early in figuring all those things out, but that's the basic structure of how the building would be divided.
Right. And based on your walkthrough, limited as you indicated, and put the RFP together, the numbers that came up with those preliminary, as you said, it's $14 million improvement, and that's the lower end, or was there a range?
Well, so I'd say, the terms of the lease are we will spend at least that much money. We will invest at least that much money in the building. My guess is it will be significantly more, particularly over a 30-year lease. But there was not like a high estimate and a low estimate. That was sort of the baseline number that we came up with.
So is that a partnership that you both
We would share that cost, yes, we would share that cost.
And
Not roughly evenly. Our half of the building is a little bit bigger, and so we would probably end up spending a little more on our side, but roughly evenly.
And when would your estimated improvement of building and turnkey, ready to serve kids, when would that is projected?
Yeah, so we would spend $5.5 million or so, probably more than that, between whenever the lease is approved and the opening. That would take about a year. So we plan to open the school in the fall of 2025. We would then have a lot of other projects that would generally be done in the summer because students are in the school during the school year over the remainder of the lease.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Oh, yes, Councilor Graves, and then I'll get to you, Councilor Gonsalves.
Just one quick question. You said you're also going to be looking for a high school
Yes.
in Providence?
Yes. Do you know any buildings?
We're not trying to close any more down. No.
Thank you.
All right, Councilor Gonsalves.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I want to preface this by saying that I've attended public, I've attended private. I obviously have an education and a career in private, but I'm not opposed to school choice, so I want to share that because I think it's important that our kids are able to succeed, our families are able to succeed, but very objectively, I'm trying to understand the value add here outside of the capital improvement investment. So, I'm looking at your reports here on your accountability plan performance, and on every measure, it looks like you're not meeting the performance standards here. So, I'd love for you to speak to that. So, 85% of your senior class each year matriculating into a 4-year college, you haven't met that standard. 50% of each year's alumni class earning a bachelor's degree within 6 years. That standard hasn't been met based on the performance standards you've laid out. 70% of middle school students, grades 5 through 8, scoring an average of 75% higher on rigorous unit assessments. You haven't met that standard. Annually for each subject area, advanced placement exam administration, you haven't met that standard. So again, I'm just really trying to understand here very objectively, what is the value add, especially for families that are looking at Excel as a potential option for their families and their kids? Because if the goal is to achieve academic success and the academic outcomes that you're promising these families, how do you intend to do that if you're not already doing that with the current schools that are under Excel's leadership?
Yeah. So I appreciate that question. The document you're referencing is our accountability plan with the state of Massachusetts, with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. Those are standards we set for ourselves, and we've not met them, and we are working to try to meet them. They are, our scores are still significantly above the district, the sending district average, and often the state average for most of those metrics. I would also say one of those metrics, the 50% of our students graduating from four-year college, we did actually meet this year with our first high school graduating class. Prior to this year, or actually really next year, we just had a middle school, and so that was reflecting our middle school students and their college graduation rate, which I think contributes a bit to why we didn't meet that number. But you know, we set a high bar for ourselves there that is significantly higher than I think a lot of our peers and the state and city averages. So I think if you look at our performance relative to our sending districts and to other charter schools, I think we do significantly outperform. And I think that's why hundreds of families, both in Providence and in Massachusetts, apply to the school, and why we have such long waiting lists. I think they see those results, and that's why they're applying. So I think the document you're looking at is our own bar for ourselves, which we set very high, and we didn't meet it. I'm not happy about that. We are working to try to meet it. But if we compare ourselves to a traditional public school, which is I think what you're trying to do here, I think we significantly outperform, particularly against our sending district.
Great, thank you.
All right, Counselor Peterson.
Thank you. So I have a couple of clarifying questions. And it might have been that I didn't hear it, so forgive me. You mentioned that you purchased the building in North Providence, but you're not exactly sure if you're going to continue schooling children in there once Laurel closes. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think we likely will at some point. There are other schools we will need to open, and it can be an incubation space for about 300 students we can educate there. So for example, if we don't find a high school in time, our students could be there for a couple of years until we open a high school. So we don't want to give it up. There's also not a big market to sell a school back into. We've invested $6 million. I don't think we can sell the building for $6 million. So it makes sense for us to hold on to it for potential future use.
So you're not opposed to purchasing another building for school use?
No, we're not. What I would say, right now, we've looked at over a couple dozen buildings in the Providence area to try to find a home for our school. In case you hadn't heard, interest rates are very high, inflation is very high, construction costs are very high. So the cost to build those buildings right now is exorbitant, and every dollar we're spending on that is dollars we can't spend on teachers and on student programming. And so right now, it is not, most buildings we've looked at have not been affordable to either purchase or build ourselves.
And you've maintained free public school in North Providence with a purchased building?
Yes.
Correct, okay.
Yes.
So, do you have this hybrid model of 2 charter schools and 1 in your North Providence location now? Or Achievement First, is Achievement First in there with you? So this is just...
We've never done a co-location before.
Okay.
So no, we only have,
And then, so we sat here last year and spoke about this partnered model of two different schools in one building last year. And if you talk to the parents of Alfred Lima, they can tell you how terrible it went for them. And we advocated strongly, some of us in this room, many of us in this room, advocated strongly about how difficult that was. So that's just a point of reference and FYI for the future for you. But I guess my other question is, if you have a waiting list of 300 students, and you currently have a school, an entity that's working right now in a separate school, and you have the potential for 500 students in Providence, I don't understand how you cannot keep the 2 models open if what you're doing, if you're looking to do is advocate to have more students. I guess that's where my holdup is.
I'm not sure I totally understand the question.
So what you're saying is you're essentially potentially closing down one school in an effort to kind of keep another one. But I guess with what we've been told and what we see, and by the way, I've seen the renderings for what your potential for Laurel is. It's absolutely beautiful. I struggle to find, with the amount of people that are set on a waiting list for charter schools, that we would even consider, or you would even consider, closing one while you're building out another one, or however that's going to work?
Yeah, I appreciate it. This gets into sort of the weeds of student enrollment patterns, particularly when you're growing a school. So we currently have 5th and 6th graders in North Providence. Next year we'll have 5th, 6th, and 7th graders. So our current students get older by a year, and we bring in a new 5th grade. If we were lucky enough to get the Laurel building, we would move those students over to the Laurel building and probably start a kindergarten and 1st grade at the same time. So while you're doing that, you're adding students in that new school, and it's possible we would, like, given that enrollment pattern and wanting to have one principal in one school, we would have all of our students in the Laurel building for 1 year. When we look at the enrollment pattern over time, we would want to add students at the building in Woodland-Squatucket for our high school, because we don't want to have 10th graders in with kindergartners in the same building. And so I'm mumbling a little bit around, like I have a spreadsheet that shows all these things, and it's relatively complicated, but that's the reason why we're trying to sort of do both.
Just one last follow-up question. How do you, outside of the purchase of the building here in North Providence, what is your model for obtaining buildings in Massachusetts?
Since we've been around for 20 years, we now have permanent homes for all of our buildings, and it took a long time to get there, but we own 3 of our 4 buildings in Massachusetts, and we have a long-term lease from a private developer, not from the city, for the 4th building.
And what's your average cost per student to run your schools?
29 students per class.
I'm sorry, the average cost per student?
Cost per student, it's about, Massachusetts, it's different. They have a higher per pupil. It's about $20,000 in Massachusetts. It's about $15,000, $16,000 here in Rhode Island.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Sanchez.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Sorry, last question. What's the percentage of students that would attend Carl Laurel B Providence residents?
A little more than, I think, almost exactly 80%.
So are you basing that off your North Providence numbers, or?
Well, yes, but also our charter actually dictates that 80% of our students, at least 80% of our students, come from Providence, and then 10% from Central Falls and 10% from North Providence.
That's in your charter?
It's in our charter, okay. Yeah.
Okay, are there any more questions for Mr. Stearns? Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. Appreciate
all right.
it.
And now we have Achievement First.
Good evening, everyone. So my name is Jillian Fain. I'm our Senior Director of Public Affairs at Achievement First. I'm honored to speak on behalf of our schools and about our potential co-location with Excel Academy, which will serve so many incredible students in the city of Providence. I hope everyone here had the opportunity. We combined had about 250 testimonial letters that were sent in today from our combined families, so we hope that you were able to receive those and have a chance to read them. We actually have an exceptional partnership with Excel Academy. We have throughout our application process, and we're really grateful for the opportunity to potentially co-locate with such dedicated educators and leaders in this former Carl G. Laurel building. At Achievement First, our mission is to prepare every student to excel in college and career, deepen their knowledge of self and community, and lead lives of purpose. In partnership with our families and communities, we work to disrupt the legacy of inequality in education. We believe in the unlimited potential within our students and their power to shape a more just society. We are also deeply dedicated to collaboration within our Providence community. We work closely with various community partners, including Teach for America, many local colleges, financial literacy organizations, and the Providence Community Health Centers. As you know, we already have one successful co-location with the Fort Lima School. We're excited about the prospect of continuing this and collaborating with Excel Academy. Our commitment to the district charter collaboration is exemplified by our district charter collaboration grant through the Rhode Island Department of Education. Additionally, this summer, we will install a new playground in the Fort Lima School, which will be used for the Providence community as well. Achievement First has a proven track record of student achievement and operational performance. Educating children in this building will only increase the number of students who benefit from our strong performance. Since Achievement First opened in 2013, our schools have experienced extremely high demand and application rates for our lottery. We have consistently filled each new school an additional grade level. Although sadly many students remain on our wait lists, we still would like to serve as many as we can. This year we had around 2,000 unique applications for around 300 seats. This demonstrates the burning need for educational options for children in our city. We know that the #1 factor impacting school excellence is leadership. It is this strong emphasis on great leadership that brings me to introduce Cynthia Lewis-Dale. She is the principal of our Achievement First Envision Elementary School, which we hope will eventually be housed in the former building of Carl G. Loro. For next year, Envision will split their school between 2 campuses as they cannot fit in their space any longer. Cynthia is an incredible principal and dedicated Providence resident. Her leadership will be instrumental in guiding the Achievement First part of the building and ensuring a strong collaboration with Excel. Cynthia's commitment to children and proven track record make her the perfect leader to continue our tradition of excellence and collaboration in this building. Thank you for this time, and I will introduce you to our principal, Cynthia Lewis-Dale.
Hello, everyone. I don't do a ton of public speaking, so please, a little nervous. But I do want to start by saying thank you to our families and community supporters, my teachers, administrators, principals, all of the people that are here to support us. So I am Cynthia Lewis-Dale. I'm the Achievement First Envision Elementary School principal. And as a woman of color, a daughter of Haitian immigrants, and a proud Providence native, I pride myself in being a reflection of our community. There's no place that I can turn without seeing some of our brilliant kids and families. I want our children to experience school in a space where they can call their second home, a place that they can return to well after graduating high school and say, that's the place I went to elementary school. Just like when I drive by George J. West Elementary School, when I drive by Nathaniel Green, and when I drive by Mount Pleasant High School, go Kilties, where I was an alum. Our school is grounded in love and the belief that supports our children in reaching their fullest potential. Nearly 400 students in my school are Providence children. Our kids came to our school through a blind lottery. And at kinder orientation this year, I had a mother come up to me and just give me a hug because she was so excited to be a part of our family. We all have the same goal here, ensuring our children achieve academically while also growing in their social, emotional capacity so that they have the inner resources to navigate the bigger world around them. We care deeply about cultivating community and creating space for our children to celebrate their diverse identities and stories and become critical thinkers through rigorous academics. Our teachers are powerful drivers of learning, and for our students to reach their full potential, we must strive to reach our full potential as educators. And therefore, at Envision, I always stress, students are teachers, and teachers are also students because we learn so much from our kids. We fundamentally believe that students are brilliant and capable of beating the bar set for them. Students need to feel safe, seen, and loved and valued in order for them to thrive academically. Students must form strong relationships with their peers and teachers, and they need to be exposed to various interesting, relevant, and engaging content so that they may begin to explore the things that interest them. When I think about our kids, just a child who came into our school and was nonverbal and is now speaking in full sentences through consistent special education. When I think about the child who was having a really hard time in his home because he has no mother and father and lives with his grandfather who is blind, and found his passion as an artist through having art on a daily basis and trauma-informed practices. When I think about our many kids who are currently trying out for the school talent show, and thank you to the 2 councilwomen who came the other day and saw some of the kids performing a song from Matilda, and they're just stepping on stage to show their bravery and perform their many talents. There's so many of our kids who are brilliant and talented. Our kids deserve a space where they can thrive as little human beings navigating this world, and therefore I urge you to help us in creating this wonderful community for our kids and families. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And Do we have any other presenters, or may we ask our questions?
You may ask your questions, and we have our regional superintendent, Kevin Luella, here as well, in case there are any educational questions that you want answered as well.
Wonderful, thank you. To kick off, if you don't mind, I just wanted to get an idea of how many locations Achievement First has currently in the city.
We currently have 7 schools that we serve, from elementary through high school, with 4 facilities.
There are 4 facilities in Providence and then 1 facility in Cranston.
And how many students are you serving in those facilities?
We serve about 3,300 students across those facilities.
And how many are there? How many are Providence-based?
The vast majority, over 90%.
Thank you. And then I'm just asking the questions I asked of the last presenter. How many students or percentage are special education students?
Yep, just north of 10%. And as well, so my name is Kevin Luella. I'll just formally introduce myself. I'm our regional superintendent. I've been a teacher and a principal for about 20 years. I was the founding principal of Achievement First Illuminar Elementary School in 2015, and I'm our regional superintendent focusing in particular on pedagogy, instruction, school leadership for Achievement First.
Thank you. I know that we'll have questions for you on that. What are your plans, should the lease be approved, what are your plans for the new facility?
So as we outlined in the RFP, our plans for the facility are very similar to Excel's. We will open our Envision school there, and we will host grades K through 5 in that space. So we'll have around half of the building, and Excel will have the other half, and then of course shared spaces that we'll both use.
And how many students will you serve?
In that building, it'll be around 565.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you very much for, I just wanted to ask those, and I'm going to open it up for questions. Who would like to start? Any questions from committee members or council members? Councilor Sanchez?
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you so much for the presentation and information. My first question is similar to Excel. What is your MLL percentage of students?
Yep. I had the number coming in, and I just checked with the MLL coordinator who's in the back of the room as well. It's 163 students, kindergarten through 3rd grade, which is 44% of the student population at Envision Elementary.
So 43%, you said, of 44% of a specific elementary is Envision's elementary is MLL. So I guess my follow-up question, since that is a pretty high percentage, how many teachers on staff do you have that are certified?
We have our MLL coordinator, say that fast 3 times, and then several MLL teachers. We've also just started a partnership with Roger Williams for their MLL certification program, and that's just a really critical pipeline for us to increase certification and support kids and teachers.
Am I good, Chairwoman? Thank you. What would happen to the existing space after?
So that space is actually co-located with 2 other schools, and they would have that school for themselves. And it also serves as, like, if we were to open another elementary school, we would start there as well.
I think I would add in the Perry Middle School building, which we've invested about $15 million in. I believe there's about 1,400 students in that facility. It's pretty tight, as anyone that previously visited last week can recall.
Thank you.
Councilor Anderbaugh.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Quick follow-up. Thank you again for being here in the presentation. Quick follow-up to Councilor Sanchez's question. You said 44% of the Envision students are MLL. What about overall across all of your schools?
It's roughly the same. It's slightly lower because as students move through our program, we exit them from MLL services, so that number decreases as students persist in Achievement First, but at the elementary level, it's roughly the same.
Pro Tem.
Thank you. Question in reference to the financing in terms of operating your side, or at least the agreement with Excel. Can you speak a little bit about the strategy on financing over, what is it, about for both buildings or the entire complex. It was estimated about I want to say $85 million of improvement when it was closed. Can you talk to us about that?
Sure. So I don't want to speak specifically on financing, although I certainly can get you that information more broken down. Any of the work that we're doing with Excel, from financing all the way down to operations in the building, will be lined out in an MOU so that we have an opportunity to work through all of the details together before we're actually in this space. So I know a lot of those details have been worked out, and we can certainly get you a breakdown of everything.
So in the proposals of getting up to par, it was indicated earlier, and it's been floated out there, that there will be an investment of about $14 million. That's a very small percentage of what it was estimated a couple of years ago in 2022 in terms of its dire repairs, about $85 million. You said you as a unit have those numbers, and how are you going to finance that? How is that financed? What is the process for that?
So it will be financed between both schools. So it will be just nearly 50-50 between both schools. There is some philanthropic dollars, there is some operational dollars, but I don't want to speak to the specifics of them. We can definitely get you the specifics, though.
Yeah. The superintendent, correct? Operates seven schools?
My focus predominantly is on our elementary schools.
Elementary.
Been an elementary school educator my whole career. Also, some of the change in seats and name tags is throwing me
That's
off.
okay,
So I apologize. I look around, I'm like, wait, sorry.
Yeah, this is real. In the schools that you operate, does the city contribute any monies to your schools?
We operate on per pupil funding, just as any funding model.
Through the state? No additional monies? No other financing? Is that a no?
Are you asking what we do outside of the per pupil funding?
Yeah. Do you receive any other operations funds from cities?
No,
like
we do
Providence,
not.
like Cranston, or other places?
Just the per pupil funding.
Just that?
Yes.
The rest is financed through private or grants and foundations?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Counselor Peterson.
Thank you. So I'll ask you a couple of the same questions just as others did, but just to push a little bit more on the point that Pro Temp made, I think the report came out that it was about $30 million that the Carl Loro required. And Jillian, right?
Yes.
We sat last year and asked you for a breakdown for the previous school from last year about where the funding would go, where the dollars would go that you're expending. And I'd like to know if we have something like that available for a breakdown, because our school department couldn't keep that school warm, safe, and dry for $29 million, and that was in 2017. Let's add the cost of inflation, and let's add how expensive everything is. I'm sure that dollar price is a lot more than $30 million. 14 million, which is half of what it was 2017, is not nearly enough to be able to get that school warm, safe, and dry for kids that you're proposing to be in there. So I really would like to see and understand what the breakdown of immediate renovations, building, whatever you're going to do, because that's extremely important for what you're trying to do here.
I think we can definitely send a similar list along, and also our facilities team, who is not here tonight, is happy to talk with anyone about some of the construction work that we are going through there. So happy to put everybody in contact with facilities as well.
Just as a follow-up, though, you guys have been promoting the changes, not just you, Excel as well, has been promoting the changes on these beautiful ads all over social media about what you're proposing to do with the building. I would have liked to have seen something like that breakdown here when all of us counselors are actually really having to consider something like this for approval. This is kind of where we were last year, just as a reminder.
Just to clarify, the breakdown that you've asked was asked for as part of their proposal. It's included in the proposal package, which is available to the committee. So we can make sure if committee members weren't given that proposal, that they have it.
I'm sorry, CO, would you just tell me which attachment, because we have the Exhibit A to the lease, which itemizes the improvements. Is
Does
that
it
what
have
you're
it?
referring to?
So it is in the lease. It's also further outlined in the proposal with the timeline and everything. So we can, if the proposal isn't submitted as an attachment, we can get that to the committee and follow up.
Well, we're actually, I'm sorry, I don't think, and the clerks can confirm, but I think we haven't received that, and we're also considering it this evening, so.
It was approved through the Board of Contracts process, so it's available to the council. It's been provided to the council. If it wasn't provided to this committee, I can get it for folks and follow up.
Yeah, I don't have it either. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Can I continue asking my questions?
You absolutely can, please.
What is your per student cost for your schools, for your elementary, and then you said you have a high school, right? Yeah.
Yes, we have middle and high school. So it's the same per pupil cost in each district that we're in. For Providence, it's somewhere around 15 or 16,000. I'll have to double check the number. But we can also get the numbers of the other ones as well.
I'm sorry, I was waiting for you to ask the next question. Okay. Do we have any other, the other thing I'm sorry, Councilor Graves, go right ahead and then I'll have a follow-up.
Okay, you said something about splitting the schools into two. Could you explain that a little bit more for me?
Sure. So our current location for the Envision Elementary is at 370 Hartford Ave. So right now we have the Achievement First Providence Elementary School there, the Achievement First Providence Middle School there, and the Achievement First Envision School there. So that was designed to just be an incubation space for schools. So because we don't have a new building for Envision next year, half of the school, which grades? Third and fourth grade will be moved to a location at St. Bart's, which is in Silver Lake. So the school will be split in half next year, and it's just about a mile down the road, and our principal, Cynthia, will work between the two schools.
Okay, and this is for a short period of time, and you're going to have to move again? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, the hope would be that we're only in that space for 1 year and that we would have our permanent space for Envision for fall of 25.
I just wanted to ask, can we just review your application process? What is it, and how does it work?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It's identical to Excel. This basic student information, name, birth date, address, etc. And then actually the state runs our lottery, right? It's not Achievement First run lottery. It's a completely blind lottery. And as Jill referenced earlier, we have several thousand students on our wait list, over 90% of whom are Providence residents.
Thank you. And can you just talk a little bit about the collaboration you've had? Is it Forts in Lima? I'm so sorry, because I should know, but I don't.
So that's been in its second year in existence. So they've had various staff collaboration meetings. They've been somewhat infrequent, but they've happened where staff either share strategies or have various team builders. Also, I think the addition of the grant to get the garden revitalized is going to be a great garden project for the school community to have and have vegetables, et cetera. But I think the most important part of the collaboration has been just the collegial nature of the staff, and then also being able to develop pedagogy and learning strategies together through various staff meetings occasionally.
And it's Achievement First, and who else?
It's Achievement First Promesa Elementary School, and then Forts Lima Elementary School. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any other questions from counselors or committee members? We really thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Council. Thank you.
All right, and if, may we have our, and we have the sheets. Oh, are you bringing them up? Yes, we will enter into our exhibit. I am going to ask that all the letters that were referenced in support of the lease be marked as exhibit number 1. May I have a motion? All right, motion made by Councilor Sanchez, seconded by Councilor Graves. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? And I think we also have one letter, although we've all received many letters pro and con, we have one letter in opposition with us tonight. May I have a motion? And it should be exhibit number, oh, there are 2 letters, and may I have a motion to mark it as exhibit 2? So moved. Motion made by Councilor Taylor, seconded by Councilor Sanchez. All in favor? All opposed? Okay. We have quite a few people signed up to testify, and we have, I will, let's see, go in between. So I think we've decided to do proponents and opponents back and forth so we can hear, try to get through all of them. I am going to limit everyone's time to 2 minutes, and my vice chair is going to be sitting here with his timer out, and I really appreciate if you might be brief, but also if someone's already testified to what you're going to say, you know, please don't feel that you also have to testify. So with that, I am going to call the first proponent, and it is Reina Ramirez. And if you would be so kind as to speak into the microphone and please say your name and address.
Good evening, City Councils. My name is Reina Ramirez, and I live in Killing Street on Ward 7. I have lived in Providence for 30 years. I attended Cargilaro Elementary School as a child. My daughter, Abby, who is sitting in the back, currently attends Excel Charter School, and I am thrilled that my son will join her there next year as well. I'm also the office manager at Excel Academy, Rhode Island. As a proud member of Excel Academy community, I believe that this new facility represents a significant step toward providing the best education and resources for our students. I chose Excel Academy for my children's education, for its unique education approach and philosophy. When the whole child excels, our community excels. Excel Academy's curriculum offerings align closely with my beliefs about education. The Academy is known for their focus on academic achievement and innovation. They offer a rigorous academic program and high standards of performance. I chose Excel Academy because of its mission. Values and philosophy align with my own beliefs and priorities as a parent. I prioritize access for excellence in education, diversity, social justice, innovation, and flexibility and strong parent involvement. Excel also works hard on community engagement through building strong partnerships with families and creating opportunities for connections, such as the Parent Leadership Committee, which I am a member of. The proximity of the new building to our neighborhood will significantly reduce commute times for both students and parents like myself, thereby easing traffic and congestion and promoting a more sustainable transportation system. This convenience factor will also foster greater parental involvement in school activities and events, strengthening the bond between the school and the community. Lastly, I firmly believe that the establishment of Excel Academy and 99 Kenya Street will have a positive impact on our neighborhood and community as a whole. By providing quality education and fostering a culture of excellence, this school will attract families to our area, stimulating economic growth and creating a vibrant, thriving community.
Thank you, Ms. Moreira.
Thank you.
We really, thank you. All right, now we're going to have Callie Rockwell as an opponent. I hope I said that name correctly.
Hello. My name is Kaylee Rockwell, and I'm a social studies teacher at 360 High School. I was here in these chambers not too long ago to advocate for our school after it was unilaterally announced to close by the district, despite its popularity amongst students, families, and staff. Survey data shows that our school community is second to none. Students feel seen, loved, and like they can nurture their brilliance, and they even went so far as to win Rhode Island Civics Day for their advocacy to save their school. In short, my public school is a successful one. My story is not that different from the communities at Broad Street, Stewart, and Laurel, the building of which is being discussed today. These PPSD schools were beloved by the students, families, and educators who belong there, and they were closed by the district. Now their buildings are being given to charter schools who are not required to accept all MLLs and students with IEPs, who do not require certified teachers to meet the needs of the students they do accept, and who can remove students whenever they want, causing more disruption in students' education. Since the 360 closure was announced, 16 of our students have already transferred to charters because they want a small school environment for themselves and their children. They would have chosen a public school, but decisions like the ones to close our school and the ones to give buildings away to charters have failed them. We wonder why we have budget crises and declining enrollment in PPSD. This is why. It's because of calculated schemes by people in power to grab our schools from democratic control and hand them over to charter schools. It's not that charter schools are better, it's that the district, the city, and the state do not care enough about our kids to invest in the public schools that we deserve. I encourage you to stop this cycle today and vote against the lease. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rockwell. Next, I'm going to call a proponent, Franchely Royhaus. I hope I said that name correctly. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Frangeli Rojas, and I live on Bizzle Street in the South Elmwood section of Providence. I have lived in Providence for 25 years. I am a proud parent of an Excel Academy 6th grader and a member of the Excel Academy Board of Trustees. As an invested parent in my children's education and well-being, I want more for them than an average education. I want a great quality education, a positive learning environment in which they could embrace their personality and feel part of a community that supports them. Now, 2 years in, my daughter has found that and more at Excel. My daughter comes home every day happy and engaged in what she is learning, asking questions and sharing highlights of her day. Her grades have shined and she has allowed her to see her true potential. The support, not just academically, but personally, that has been provided for her has opened future opportunities. Excel has also created a system in which everyone is treated the same. And no matter how small incidents are, all students are held responsible because they are in a community in which they can make mistakes, but also understand that sometimes those come with consequences. The school culture there is not just preparing her for more academic opportunities, but also the real world challenges. I ask to please understand the importance of the decision of this building and how it can impact the lives of many children in Providence, including my daughters. Let's work together to make sure that we continue to invest in the education of the future young adults of this city and state with a well-deserved learning environment. Your most sincere support is greatly appreciated. Approving for Excel to move into Providence would not only help my
Please
family,
finish up.
but
Thank
also
you.
the wider community. Thank you for your dedication to our children in the city and for your efforts in making this vision a reality.
Thank you very
Thank you.
much. Next, I'm going to call the opponent, Judith Dixon. Is Judith available? Okay. I'm going to call, is it Naya Eso Aguzi? I'm so sorry. I'm sure you're going to, my apologies.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Naya Aisamagazi. I'm from PCTA. I came here today because I'm a 10th grader in PCTA. I don't really see a lot of students here or really from any public schools, so I wanted to talk for a lot of my peers. Thank you. A lot of times when we talk about charter and public schools, it always seems that charter schools get the reputation of being better and have better students and stuff like that and get more hands-on learning and stuff like that. And with public schools, we always get the bad side of the coin almost. And I'd like to say that's not true because I like to think of myself as a good student. A lot of my classmates and peers are great students, and we need a lot of help too. I mean, we could be succeeding, we could be doing so much more just with more funding and stuff like that. we have so much potential at PCTA and Central and Classical. We just need people to listen, to be there. And sometimes it feels like we're almost not heard. And I think that can be really shown by who's really in the audience. We don't see a lot of young people, and that is the problem. We need to see more young people. We need to see more people that look like us. We need to have more teachers. We don't have enough teachers. We need more support. We don't have enough support. We need teachers. We don't have a lot of teachers. It's very nerve-wracking when you're in school and it doesn't feel like your school. It's very nerve-wracking when your school is always busy and you never seem to get the real help that you need. And I wasn't planning on coming here today. I was planning on doing homework, but I'm here today, and I think that that should show a lot, that I care enough about not just my school, but all of the public schools that are around us, that we need help, we need better buildings, we need more extracurriculars, we need more, and we're not getting that. And I think to even put two schools it almost feels like, oh, charter's better than public, and that's just not right. Everybody should have an education. Education is everything.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We so appreciate you coming this evening. Okay, I'm going to call Viviana Lopez Vallison or Estefany Duarte. I think it said or. Thank you. Well, apparently, I guess we have two.
Hello, my name is Estefany Duarte. I've lived in Providence for more than 30 years. I live in Viola Street in Ward 15, and I'm a proud parent of an Excel Academy Rhode Island student. I was praying for a few years while my child was in school, and I wanted a change. I wanted him to be academically challenged, and I wanted a school to help him as well go through the social anxiety our children are facing nowadays. And my prayers were answered. When I heard about Excel and I heard how great they were, not only academically, but how great they were in life skills, I enrolled him, and it was the best decision I ever made. He has done such a drastic change. In the first year, I saw him more confident, more engaged. He used to be afraid to ask questions. Now he asks too many questions. It's amazing what I see, and I'm very, very happy. Excel has impacted my child's education, and the support of Excel has truly transformed his learning. It's amazing what a child can produce and what a child can become if placed and planted in the right environment. The renovation of the Carl G. Lara building is very crucial for my family and my community. I would love for my two younger children to grow up and go to the same school as he, to share, to witness, to experience what Excel has to offer, and to also be that change. We want to change our community. It starts with them. A better them, a better community, a better future. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, and I think we have, I'm sorry, is it Estefany?
No, mine is Viviana.
Yes, thank you.
So my name is Viviana. I live in Canton Street in the Mount Pleasant area. I have two children at Excel. This year, I was my first year as a paraprofessional at Excel as well. And I just want to say, my explaining will be short. I just want to explain that, like, having my daughter attend this school changed her completely. She was very shy, low level, and then here when I signed her up last year, she was a 5th grader. Now she's a 6th grader. She's very outspoken now. She won't be quiet as well. So that's something that I guess is common in between these kids. But she does amazing now. She's on level. I have another daughter that just started this year as well. She is very smart. And this school is actually helping her achieve more of her level where she needs to be exceeding. This building, if it is allowed and accepted for us and Achievement First to have it, it will open many opportunities for many students. Like me, I saw this opportunity for my daughter and I gave it a chance. And it's something that I think a lot of people should give it a chance. I know they're thought of as being a little, overcoming, but they are amazing. They have changed my life and the life of my daughters, and they're here. they can't let me lie, that their education from the staff there and all of the teachers, it's like it makes them want to learn more. It's so they're all happy there. And I just want to say that if we get the opportunity, it will be major accomplishment for a lot of us, and as well for my two younger sons that will, if accepted, they will be in there. And I just want to say thank you to all of you, because I know all of you guys are like, you guys want the best for our students in Providence, Pawtucket, everywhere in Providence, Rhode Island. But I just want to thank you guys for being concerned for them, and I think this is something we should give them a chance. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I will call Cindy Robles as an opponent.
Good evening, council members, and thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I'm here to address the proposal on the leasing of the Carl Laurel Elementary School building. I have lived in the city for over 2 decades, and both of my children have attended Providence Public Schools. The oldest graduated in 2017, and the other is currently still a student at Classical High School. Our community is asking for your support in opposing the proposal to lease the Carl Laurel Elementary School building to a charter school organization for $1. This would not be the first or even the second time that our public school buildings have been stolen from our children in order to give them away to charter school organizations. These charter schools do not provide the appropriate services for our population. Charter schools are allowed to pick and choose which children they will accept into their programs. If they need special education support, they won't get it at a charter school. If they need support as an English language learner, they won't get that support at a charter school either. If they need social emotional support, they won't get that at a charter school. Charter schools are segregating our children and dividing our communities. Is this what we want for the children of Providence? In addition, Zach Scott, PPSD's Deputy Superintendent of Operations, has publicly stated that charter expansion has had a devastating effect on Providence public schools. The Rhode Island Department of Education has admitted that no fiscal impact study was done prior to this expansion. Achievement First stole Charles Forts Elementary School from the community, forcing the closure of a bilingual public school program. Yet they have 0 MLL certified teachers. Expanding charter schools in the city only takes away crucial resources from our children. We should be adding resources that our children desperately need, not taking them away and handing them over to charters. In a time where the city should be focusing on things such as the housing crisis, developing resources for the unhoused, establishing and maintaining safe community spaces, and increasing resources for our children, why would we propose giving away yet another one of our school buildings to a charter who cannot and will not support all of our children and all of our families? Why wouldn't
If
we
you would
use that
please
space?
finish up.
Why wouldn't we use that space to develop affordable housing? Why wouldn't we use that space as much needed community resource center? There are so many ways the city could effectively use that space by keeping the community's needs in mind. I urge you to put our children first and vote no on this proposal. Our children matter.
Thank you. I'm going to take Kelly Straker, proponent. Is Kelly here? I don't see Kelly. Lady Bunko Bonillo. I'm sorry, I can't read the writing. And I'm probably butchering the name. My apologies. That's a proponent. Okay. Do we have Kayla Robinson as a proponent? Chris Sati. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for having me. My name is Christopher Sati, and my family and I live in Ward 2. I'm here this evening as a proud Providence citizen, taxpayer, parent, and business leader. And I also serve on the board of Excel, specifically the Friends Board, which oversees Excel's corporate team and capital investments across both Rhode Island and Massachusetts. And I could not be a bigger supporter of the organization and of this particular proposal for the Kenyon Street building. As I know the council is aware by now, demand from parents and kids for charters like Excel is overwhelming. There's over 300 families currently on Excel's wait list. And across the state, there's 12 applications for every one available charter seat. And I recognize the arguments that opponents make about charters. But in my view, it's hard to make those cases looking in the eyes of parents that desperately want better opportunities for their children. I have a 3-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I will certainly be grateful for more publicly funded choices in Providence as decisions about their education quickly approach. I went to public school my entire life, and both of my parents were public school teachers. But like most Providence parents, there is nothing I wouldn't do to give my kids access to an educational setting that would allow them to flourish. I've gotten to know some of the families that send their kids to Excel's Rhode Island and Mass schools, and they are uniformly grateful for the opportunity that they're receiving. This Kenyon Street location is ideally situated to serve students from the exact neighborhoods most in need of more neighborhood schooling options. Under the proposal from Excel and Achievement First, over $14 million would be invested into the facility, breathing life into an old vacant building that needs some TLC. In my view as an investor, the costs of redeveloping such an aged school building into housing or some other use are just not viable. We don't need to look very far to see examples of stalled residential redevelopment projects in our city. But co-locating 2 high-performing schools in a building already neatly divided into 2 wings makes great sense. This is a chance for the city to quickly repurpose a building with superbly matched tenants and avoid the blight of a long-term vacancy in the heart of a vibrant neighborhood. As a board member, I can attest that Excel is an exceptionally well-managed charter organization with deep national and local support. They would be an ideal long-term partner to the City of Providence, as they have been to the City of Boston. I'm passionate about this project, and I humbly ask you to approve Excel and Achievement First proposal for the lease at 99 Kenyon Street. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm on Andrea Harrington as an opponent.
Good evening. I'm Andrea Harrington, a long-term resident of Ward 14, a teacher from Roger Williams Middle School, and a proud PPSD graduate. I appreciate your time tonight. A year ago, they said the Carl Laurel School was deemed unfit for students. Rather than fix it for public education, they want to continue a giveaway of public buildings. Over the weekend, I saw Excel's TikTok claiming they were for all, but their schools are not for all. They are not prepared to serve our neediest populations, nor have they made the efforts to start. If this is a public school, as they claim, why aren't their teachers meeting the same standards or certifications in MLL or SPED services as Providence Public School District? Why are they returning certain students with certain scores or behaviors to true public schools as if they are unwanted? For reference, the Excel presentation earlier spoke of 9% special pops, except when looking at RIDE's report card, it reported 0.9%. They mentioned 8% of MLL students, amounting to 16 of 200 students. That's less students than I teach in a single period during my day. This is selective education, not inclusive education. That's not what public schools are about. Furthermore, the fiscal impact of this decision doesn't just impact the school district, it impacts the community at large. This particular neighborhood needs affordable housing, for instance, not a charter school that siphons city funding. I urge this council to do what's right for our schools, for our students, and for our community. Reject this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to call the proponent Carmen Colon. Amanda Valentin, proponent. I will call Mary Beth Calabro in opposition.
Great time for my phone to turn off. Good evening. I'm Mary Beth Calabro, president of the Providence Teachers Union, and I am a proud educator in a true public school. My school, Nathaniel Green, boasts 28.5% MLL population and 18.5 differently abled students, increasing by at least 2% in each category in the next 2 years. Those students are served by educators who are MLL certified and the teachers of differently abled population, with more than half the faculty in the school MLL certified. All special educators are fully certified. That said, I would like to be able to understand how on December 23rd, RIDE stated that making Lauro warm, safe, and dry would cost close to $95 million in conjunction with the other school that it closed. What a magical finance wizard graced you people in Achievement First and Excel with the ability to redesign a once thriving, vibrant school with a mere $14 million, as opposed to the price tag RIDE used as a rationale to close the school. That same magical wizard must have been at the K-12 Council, where you were both granted the ability to expand when you didn't have the required secured school building on your application, but therefore should not be been given the ability to expand to begin with. Finally, I wish that you could explain your hashtag, no more empty schools, when in Providence you have commandeered 3. Perry Middle School for a $1 lease that was considered and deemed uninhabitable, yet 6 months later, Achievement First was there. After Perry Middle School, you fully commandeered Lima Elementary School and took the teachers' and students' belongings and threw them in a cafeteria, not very collegial. And then, in another bit of good fortune, now you have the fortuitous opportunity to steal Carl G. Lauro for yet another $1 when we had a thriving, successful school there. And if we weren't going to keep it as a current elementary school, we could have absolutely used it as swing space as we redesigned and retrofitted our other schools that were so desperately in need. So I'm not sure if Achievement First and Excel Academy are the luckiest business people on the planet, but I think that they've had people who've paved the way
Please
for their
finish.
their
Thank you.
aforementioned all-powerful charter wizard.
Thank you so much. I am calling the proponent Udelka Cabrera.
Good evening. My name is Udelka Cabrera. I live on 593 Prairie Avenue. Last year, my family moved from New York, and one of my biggest concerns as a parent was whether I was going to be able to find high-quality public charter school education here in Rhode Island, since this is the kind of education my daughter was receiving in New York since she started preschool. So Achievement First exceeded the expectation of a charter school as they go above and beyond to provide individualized, student-focused education at no cost. It was a blessing to be selected on the lottery. We were so happy, pretty much. We jumped in the middle of the school year. It was October. They called me and they said, there is a seat available for your child. And pretty much we just dropped everything and made it happen. Even before we were ready to, the housing was not even settled, and we just jumped and got here because the seat became available. We were waiting for forever. So with a new Lease building, this free high-quality education can reach more families. We can make an impact on our community for a better future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll call the opponent Shannon McLeod.
Thank you. My name is Shannon McLeod. I'm a proud Providence educator for the last 10 years. I teach at PCTA as an English teacher. Thank you for taking the time to hear us voice on this important issue. I began my career actually at Gilbert Stewart. I've been at PCTA now for the last 8 years, and I've seen firsthand how the financial drain is on this district thanks to big box charters. From schools without supplies like glue sticks and paper to books that can't be reordered when they fall apart. In fact, this past weekend, a colleague of mine who has already been non-renewed for next year called me and said, hey, I'm at Staples, there's a sale, do you need some paper? Even though he doesn't have a job there next year. In my class, I have students with full free rides to Princeton, Northwestern, PC. I would just like to point that out. We've got great kids in Providence. Students that are graduating with anywhere from 4 to 12 college credits. And because I'm from a CTE, we were just honored last night at the State House. We have been, our students have had the most hired students into electric boat this year. We beat out Massachusetts and New Jersey. So that's from PCTA. Fort Salema was given to Achievement First for $1. They not only stole half the building, they stole that garden they're talking about. For those who don't know, the PTU teachers at Fort Salema were MLL certified. 100% of them were MLL certified. Today, Achievement First at PERSMA, which is at Space, has one MLL certified teacher. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. They have one emergency certified teacher, not even fully certified. For comparison, my department of 10 English teachers, 9 of us are fully certified, and we only have one emergency certified. That's at one school. The last fleecing of taxpayer money is supposed to fix Carl Laurel dual language. However, we've heard that the estimates that they're giving you are not correct. I'm going to leave you with this. Let's not forget what State Senator Sam Bell said when he was invited into Achievement First on a tour. In his words, in the classrooms, it was constant discipline. The teachers spewed a stream of punishments, and I couldn't even see what the students were doing wrong. The students kept losing points or getting yelled at for things like not looking attentive enough. I can't imagine what it would be like to be a child to be berated constantly.
Would you please finish up?
Okay, I can tell you, those kids won't be getting the same things our kids are getting in Providence. Love and achievement, so thank you.
Kevin Lohella, a proponent. Okay. Is it Carrie Straker? Oh, I'm sorry.
Good evening again. It's me.
Oh.
I added my name to the list earlier prior to knowing that I would be speaking on the front end. So I'll just say a few things briefly. Again, my name is Kevin Luella. I'm a regional superintendent for Achievement First, and I was the founding principal of Achievement First Elementary School. And I guess what I would say specifically is to our outcomes. All schools are recovering from the pandemic. It's been devastating on so many levels. And what I would point to in terms of Achievement First outcomes here in Rhode Island pre-pandemic were exceptional. Achievement First Illuminar was the #1 performing school in the state, with 80% of our students achieving proficiency on the ELA RICAS and 73% of our third graders, outperforming the wealthiest districts in the state. As a district, we outperformed the state average by double digits, and I just want to emphasize that that was possible then. We have a road in front of us. We are working very hard to support our students socially, emotionally, culturally, intellectually, and athletically, artistically, you name it. And what was possible then is possible now. Our kids are brilliant. Thank you for your time, Council.
Thank you. Calling the opponent, Jeremy Sensor.
Good evening. Thank you for taking the time for us. I'll try to follow your guidance and not repeat what we've heard, so I'll kind of limit my statements. I was recently a math coach at Carl Laurel and saw the great things that were happening with the dual language program. As was mentioned previously, we lost a bilingual school already that was replaced by a program that does not serve the same students. So I just want to reinforce that. But I want to talk about an opportunity that you all have as a city council here today. Providence Public Schools has been divested in and it's been underfunded for about a decade. We've now, through charter expansion, created an inequitable system that is made of two tiers, the haves and the have-nots. The narrative around our Providence public schools is false, as you've heard. Our kids are amazing. They're just not supported. In Massachusetts, which we've talked about, and this is our moonshot for 2030, the governor called it. In Massachusetts, 4% of students attend charters. In Rhode Island, we are double that already, with 80% of those students coming from just 4 communities in the state. That speaks volumes. I don't need to speak any more about that. We all know what that is. So you've got an opportunity here, because this is the first step in making sure that we bring resources back to our public school students so that they can thrive, so that their families can have all of the support they need. And I want to call this out because a year ago, there was a group of public school families who wore yellow t-shirts. They were the Broad Street Bees, my elementary school. They were silenced, meetings were shut down when they spoke, and they were never given the opportunity to advocate for their community school, a school that kids walked to just as I did when I was in kindergarten. And that school was taken away. And at the time,
can you
those,
finish up, please?
those
I'm so
families
sorry.
stated their concern was that they were eliminating their thriving community in order to transfer it to charters. And this lease would definitely give credence to what they believed a year ago when they were silenced.
Thank you. Okay, we have Carrie Straker. Did I already call that name? I'm sorry. Do we have Cal? Cal just signed up with one, a proponent by the name of Cal. Okay. May I please call an opponent, Lindsay Paiva? I'm sorry, Paiva? I'm not sure you'll correct me, sorry.
I got you. It's Paiva, like a pie. Thanks. Hi, everybody. I'm Lindsay Paiva. I'm speaking as a Providence resident in Joanne Ryan's district. And I'm also a 3rd grade teacher of multilingual learners at Webster Ave Elementary School in Providence to implore you to stop the proposed lease of Carl Laurel's old building to Achievement First and Excel. The closing of Laurel was absolutely devastating for students, teachers, families, and community members. An entire school community was destroyed to balance the budget. No one talks about what happened to those students or families or teachers, but I see them every day in my school. Following the closure, vacant seats in elementary classrooms across the district filled up with students who were disoriented and upset about the loss of their friends, teachers, and entire school community. They were completely uprooted from an educational environment and moved to a new daily experience with no support. There's some serious irony in the previous comments about how folks dream of charter school students having fond memories and driving by their old schools with nostalgia, because that's no longer a possibility for the students of Laurel. These students matter too. These are someone's children. These are my students. And the pattern is clear. Underfund our public schools, stop or delay repairs, wait until the schools are uninhabitable, and then sell them off for very little money to charter organizations who have the funding to restore the space. They have private donors, they have dark money, they have all sorts of sources that we do not. This happened to Perry, to Forts, to Laurel, and honestly, we don't know what's gonna happen with Broad, but they'll probably be next. Achievement First is known for its harsh discipline policies, overworked and underqualified teaching staff, and overemphasis on test prep. I'm sure their RICAS scores are great, but what else? This effort creates a false narrative that there's no joy and only poor achievement in Providence schools, and I can tell you that that is not true. My students are some of the most amazing people I've ever met. My families are incredible, and I love my job. And the fact that the city would consider handing over one of our buildings where students were loved and cared for and educated by high-quality, fully certified teachers for decades to a big box charter that cares more about the bottom line than children and families is disgraceful. This shows the utter disregard for our communities that has been the norm since the takeover in 2019.
If you would please finish up.
Of course. We're facing a huge deficit in the city, largely because of a drop of enrollment to charter expansion, and our budgets have been frozen since January. So I urge you to please consider stopping this lease. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm calling the proponent Genesis Cuevas. Genesis Cuevas. Brian Eldridge.
Good evening. I will try and keep it brief for everybody. My name is Brian. I am a 6th grade teacher currently at Excel Academy. I came to Rhode Island just last year. I have several years in education, but I was pushing myself to get into a program in a school that really met my missions, my values, and where I aligned myself as an educator. And really didn't find that anywhere else except in Excel Academy. Their rigorous training, their rigorous mission value statements, the way that they prepare their teachers, their students, and the community for the future ahead, not just college, but anything that comes their way is unlike anything I've ever seen before, not only in education, but just in the school systems in general. I am a huge proponent of this bill and for the school, not only for the students, but for the families and the communities, because I know that it wouldn't make an impact just on the learning, but in the people as a whole, in the community of Rhode Island. So that's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to call the opponent Chris Bull. Chris Bull. Okay. Opponent Patrick Shelton.
Good evening, counselors. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Patrick Shelton. I'm a 5th grade MLL certified elementary teacher at the MLK Elementary School in Providence. I'm here to ask you to please reject the resolution to lease the former Laurel School to the Excel Academy and Achievement First. I'm a former teacher at the ASF at Broad Street School, Washington Park's only school that, like Laurel, was suddenly closed last year, supposedly to the, quote, high level of disrepair. And also, it should be noted as the result of the shrinking enrollment of PPSD schools. As counselors, our traditional public schools, please, thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to call the proponent Eimer Oleo. Carmen Lopez. Sarah Leach, proponent. Okay, I'm on to the opponent, Sarah Archibald. James Shelton. Caitlin Crudale, in opposition.
Good evening. Oh, shit. Good evening. My name is Caitlin Crudale, and I am a parent from Southside Providence. I am here in opposition if the possibility of any charter school expanding into public school buildings, specifically the Carl G. Laurel Elementary School building. I find it intriguing how schools are being shut down for very specific reasons, like being unsafe or low enrollment numbers, but yet a charter school swoops in, and within a year, year and a half, a school can be open with funding and numbers. Where is that money coming from? I also heard that they have a huge number on a waiting list, but that is because they are putting kids on waiting lists when you enroll into PPSD. I have heard the debate, charters are public schools, but are they? Do they require certified teachers like public schools? No, they don't. Can they accept students with IEPs? Not all, because they are not required to have the certified staff needed. In fact, they have 0.9% compared to PPSD, who has 15.8%. But they do take public school funding. I don't know the exact number of PPSD, but I do know that charter's reps say theirs is only 15 to 16K per kid, when actually it's well over 21K. It is a slap in the face to us parents and communities that is even an idea to give this building to a charter for $1. Why not open a pre-K program, since the city is so overfilled with incoming pre-K students, according to Commissioner Angelica Infante Green, or a school geared towards children with IEPs, especially since there was just a recent lawsuit about students with IEPs not getting what they needed from PPSD. We do not want charters. We want community public schools. We are not just a number in statistics. We are a community and we are a family.
If you could please finish up.
Yep. Please take the needs and requests of the families into consideration. We are raising the future leaders. Give them something to look up to.
Thank you. I'm calling proponent Cynthia Lewis-Dale. Proponent Cynthia Lewis-Dale. Okay, do we have proponent Erica Acosta? Nat Brennan in opposition. Anna Cooperman. Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, come on up. I'm so sorry.
That's okay. Hi, my name is Nat Brennan. I'm a resident at 51 Lindy Avenue in Providence. I'm on RISCA's teaching artist roster, which means that I work with Providence youth who attend public charter schools and private schools, all of who are amazing people that I am lucky to know. Currently, I'm being licensed to be a public school educator, and in the process of that education system, I have extensive training that is needed to be certified that is not needed for charter schools, and that is a disservice to the youth in our community to not be required to undergo anti-racist training, cultural responsive training. Not having those skills as an educator in a classroom is an absolute disservice to this community, and it is essential to expand Providence Public Schools funding. And I urge you to oppose this lease. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Proponent Emily Hoban.
Hello, my name is Emily Hoban, and before I start, I just want to thank all of the parents who came to speak for Excel Academy but had to leave due to different kinds of childcare obligations. I am a certified teacher who is currently living at 41 America Street, right down the street from Carl G. Lauro in Ward 4. And I currently teach 6th grade social studies at Excel, Rhode Island. But last year, I taught 5th grade at Carl G. Lauro Elementary School. And I can assure you we are teaching the same children. When Carl G. Lauro closed, I threw a huge net out into the job world, applying to human resource jobs and museum jobs and personal assistant jobs, and very, very few teaching jobs. I was exhausted by COVID and the burden of teaching in so many different places that I thought my teaching life might be over. But then I found Excel. And when I came in for my half-day interview and meet the school day, I could tell immediately that this school was different. I came in on a testing day, which is normally a really droll and boring day, but was really made light and confident through the staff's effort. The energy in the building gave me the confidence to try for one more year. Starting at Excel was really daunting. They hold their staff and students to such a high standard, I was afraid of not meeting the mark. I didn't yet know that this school and its leadership provides support and learning to everyone who walks through their doors. That high bar changed from will I meet it to how can we raise it? This motivation is felt not just by the teachers, but by the students as well. Excel provides students with a chance to have ownership over their learning, their behaviors, and their growth. Students are invested in themselves, creating work that shows drive. In my years of teaching, few schools have made me feel as supported and celebrated as this one. They've taken my trepidation towards an oncoming year and turned it back into excitement and eager planning. I feel like a teacher again. Through my experience, I've begun to view
Please
Excel,
finish up.
absolutely, as an opportunity for students to attend a school that is engaging, supporting, and motivational. And as a resident of Federal Hill, I am asking that you approve this lease to bring my school back to life. Thank you.
Anna Cooperman. Anna Cooperman in opposition. Brandy Tucker in opposition.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for having me. I'm Brandy Tucker. I'm a Providence resident and I teach for Providence Public Schools. I moved here 2 years ago from California. I am so happy to live in this city. I love it so much. As a queer person from a small coastal town near San Francisco, I was pleasantly surprised to find how inclusive and diverse Providence is. What an amazing place it is to live here. The people of this city from all different backgrounds and cultures is absolutely incredible. I've been all over, and this city really is such a blessing. I teach 5th grade at Webster Avenue, and through my work with the union, the Equity Office, Teaching for Black Lives Group, and now PVD Core, I've had the pleasure to meet and work with a lot of Providence school teachers. And I'll tell you, I've never met more dedicated, loving, racial justice-centered, passionate, supportive teachers than those in the Providence Public Schools Department. There's so much talent right here in this city, for this city. That talent is being wasted or run off by closing our schools, not funding them, and so much more. I worked at a charter very much like Achievement First in California for 3 years. I was one of 3 teachers out of 20 that were credentialed. That makes a huge difference. These schools teach to the test. If your measure of outcome is measured by standardized tests and you teach to the test, you're gonna do well. When has ever doing well on a standardized test prepared you for what life is actually like? I could go on about testing, but I won't. You want to add value to this city's education system? Stop defunding PPSD. This city needs to pay its share. Stop supporting what the state and the district is doing to our city schools. Our parents want, our families deserve a great quality education. We can't give it to them without funding. The more that charters are allowed to expand, the less money we have to provide that great quality education. Support the talent we have, because we have so much. Say no to this lease. Thank you.
Thank you. Ashley Rockwood for the proponent. Lillian Morales, proponent. Esperanza Bueno. Okay, Andrea Rojas for an opponent.
Good evening. My name is Andrea Rojas. I'm a resident of Ward 5, and I'm here in opposition to this proposed leasing of Carl G. Lauro. I'd like to take some time to remind the committee what this will look like financially for our city. The proposal put forth by Councilman Oscar Vargas would allow for a charter school to lease the building for $1 a year for a span of 30 years. You've heard that these charter schools will renovate the buildings, give it necessary updates. However, it is still unclear how they will do this and what private funding sources they will use to make it possible, a privilege that is not afforded to our public schools. I'd also like to remind the committee that for fiscal year 2025, Mayor Smiley proposed only a $3 million increase to PPSD's yearly budget. $3 million. Without veering too far off from the topic before the committee today, this very slight increase is not nearly enough and actually puts the city in a position where it fails to meet the city's legal obligation to serve all of Providence's students. All of that is to say that it is clear that the city is facing a challenging time and thus having to make difficult decisions. This proposal before you, $1 a year for 30 years, is not one of them. It should be quite easy to see that this proposal, as it is fiscally irresponsible and should be voted down. If we allow for this to happen, it will continue the dangerous
Please
precedent
finish up.
of charter school expansion on the basis of we'll need to renovate the buildings for you, and with the district's redesign plans proposing to combine most of the elementary schools and middle schools into K-8 spaces, and with the enrollment of Providence students continuing to decrease, in large part because of these
Please
charter
finish
schools, more of these buildings will become vacant. And yet the city will not see any financial benefit in
Please
the
finish
immediate of this agreement. Respectfully, this proposal is unjust for many reasons, and I encourage you all to vote it down. Thank you.
Proponent Amparo Mende. Adriana Perez Bonillo. Nerity Lorano. Proponent. Opponent Cindy Miranda.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Miranda, and I am the chair of the Olneyville Neighborhood Association in District 15. I'm here today to express my strong opposition to the proposed lease of Carl G. Laurel. I am deeply disappointed in our councilman and the mayor who support this $1 a year lease, who visit our neighborhoods during election time, but disappear when it comes to addressing our concerns. These charter schools are not for everyone. They serve a limited number of students and do not follow the same procedures as our public schools. What about the families who rely on the special services provided by our public schools? If you were truly connected to our community, you would understand that public education is an investment in our future, our city, our state. When you remove essential staples from the community, you harm many, you harm generations. It feels like our leaders do not understand or care about the needs of their own community. As a parent and an advocate for our schools, it is disheartening to see our only option being commercialized charter school filled with promises and hopes that this will be the solution to the education crisis, while it has proven to only make it worse. The current budget is an insult to everyone involved. Our kids, families, staff, teachers, and communities deserve better. It is time for our leaders to listen and invest in our public schools for the benefit of all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. M. Schulter in opposition. M. Sam. Oh, there you are. Sorry. Thank you.
Hi,
Please.
my name is M. Schluter. I'm currently an ELA ESL teacher at Del Sesto Middle School.
Can you lean right into that? Speak up a little and lean right in there. Thank you.
In 2021, I moved to Providence from California to serve in AmeriCorps City Year program. When City Years were choosing our school preferences, I listed Laurel as my top choice, and I couldn't have anticipated how much this school is going to mean to me. I decided to dedicate a second year of service so I continue working with Laurel students, staff, and faculty. I was in the process of working out a way to continue on at Laurel in some capacity, as this school year I would have been aged out of the AmeriCorps program. Then it was announced that Laurel would be closing. This was a devastating blow for the Laurel community. We had established an excellent school culture. Teachers were invested in including students' families and fostering connections between themselves and the community. When the news broke that Laurel was closing, we were all devastated. But what saddened me the most was witnessing how much it hurt the students. My fifth graders were distraught to hear the news that the school was closing. Even though they would quote unquote technically not be impacted by this, it still hurt them knowing that their academic home was being closed. One day on the whiteboard behind my desk, one of my students drew a picture of the school and wrote that Laurel is our home, we are the Laurel Lions. I still have a picture of her drawing. The same student another day informed me that she was going to grow up to become rich enough to buy the building and reopen Laurel. We had a vibrant community that was ripped away because it was decided it would be impractical and too costly to repair. What is most aggravating about this situation is the refusal to repair Laurel for the students and families that were already there, coupled with the eagerness to repair the building in order to replace it with charter schools. It was said that the closing of Laurel would be a step towards eliminating these Band-Aid fixes, but now the building is being repaired in order to move in Achievement First and Excel. How come when it comes to these charter schools, there's no hindrance to fixing up the building, but when it had an established community already present, it was deemed a Band-Aid fix and a drain on funds? It is still the same building it was, the same building we were told that would be an inconvenience to fix. The decision to close Laurel displaced all students and staff. If the school was deemed not viable for the community that was already there, it should also be deemed not viable for these charter schools.
If you'd be so kind as to wrap up.
This move of giving away Laurel to the charter schools feels extremely underhanded. Mayor Smiley has been open with his desire to create an all-charter school system, and it feels too convenient now that Laurel has been forcibly vacated. That is all of a sudden able to house students again. The claim that this plan will revitalize a historic building and invest in the community is extremely frustrating to hear. Where was that sentiment when Laurel was being looked at last school year? Laurel students, families, and faculty and staff were extremely committed to the school, but unfortunately not everyone else was. Clearly, something could have been done to benefit the community that was already there. Thank you.
Thank you. Sam Wallace? In opposition.
Hi there, my name is Sam Wallace. I'm the Del Sesto librarian without a library right now, and I'm speaking in firm opposition to this lease. As other folks have mentioned, we have, as PPSD, have received level funding from the mayor for almost a decade now. Level funding for us means less funding. Del Sesto is currently operating without any sports coaches. I coach cross country. I do not like to run. That was a foolish choice that we have because our resources are being funneled into big box charter. I'm so happy to look around and see so many wonderful families and folks that I know, and I'm so happy that folks have found a school that works for them. I want PPSD to work for all of our students, as it is supposed to do as a public school and a public school institution. Privately funded education is wonderful, and it's great for folks who can get there. Not all of our students can get there, and furthermore, when we take resources away from people like me who want to work for all of our students, you are taking our money and our resources away from us. You are taking our buildings away from us. We are looking over our shoulders, wondering if we are going to be the next school. Why would my colleagues continue to work in a school district where their school could be closed without any information? To watch their students show up in tears, to watch their family say, I don't know what to do. I also went to this school. My children went to this school. What do we do from here? This is a reality for 4 of our schools now over the past couple of years. I work with people who got shut out of Perry. They tell me about how terrible that day was when they had people come into their classrooms looking at the paint color of the walls and saying, oh, no, this won't do for our students. I don't know how your students dealt with it. Our students continue to deal with it, and for $1 a year, this is appalling. I'm further appalled that our mayor sits on the board of Achievement First. That worries me, and I think that that should be brought to light and have a conversation around that. That makes me worried as a resident of Providence, and the fact that this has gone so far forward with someone with such,
please?
Yep, with someone with such power, reaching out to organizations and these organizations getting funding and getting buildings makes me very worried as a Providence resident. Thank you.
Thank you. Emmanuel, I'm sorry, Asorius? I can't quite read. Proponent, Emmanuel. Lady Norterra, another proponent. Okay, David Talon, a proponent. Patricia Bergantini, in opposition.
Hello, my name is Pat Bergantini. I am a Providence resident, and I also taught in the Providence school system, and I'm also a graduate of the Providence schools, Mount Pleasant to be exact. I noticed that the t-shirts that the people are wearing say "Stop the Wait." I, as a Providence resident, say "Stop the giveaway." I am tired of schools being given away. This, as a Providence resident, we need a broader tax base. We need apartments, we need housing. That is prime real estate. It could definitely be used for condos or low income or affordable housing, and that's what we need. So please, stop the giveaway.
Colin Whitney. All right, Knight Mutin Gabo. Oops.
Honorable member of the City Council, my name is Nigel Eve Mohingabo. As a concerned school board member and advocate for quality education of public education, I stand before you to express my deep reservation and grave concern regarding the proposed lease agreement for lower elementary school property. This agreement, which would allow Achievement First and Excel Academy to lease this property for a minimal fee for just $1, pose a significant threat for well-being and educational opportunity for our students. First and foremost, this resolution set a dangerous precedent by undervaluing the importance of public schools. Our public schools are the cornerstone of our society, providing for all students, regarding of the background or circumstance, with access for quality education. By allowing the characterization of our school to such a lease agreement, would risk prioritizing profit over education needs for our students. Furthermore, the expansion of charter schools diverts essential resources away from our already underfunding public schools. Every dollar that goes toward supporting charter schools, a dollar that could have been investing in improving facilities, hiring qualified teachers and providing essential resources and support services for our public school students. This diversion of resources that only serve to widen a gap between the well-funded charter schools and the struggling public schools, further exacerbating existing inequality in our educational system. Additionally, charter schools threaten the inclusive and diverse nature of our public school system. Charter schools have a track of what we call cherry-picking students, excluding those with disability or English learning learner, and thus segregating our education system, depriving valuable students of their rights to equitable education. The rapid expansion of charter school undermines the stability and viability of our public school system. As the public schools lose students and funding to charter schools, they are forced to cut programs, including class size, and even close the door, leaving behind the trail of disruption and uncertainty for students' family and community.
Please
I
finish
urge you
up.
to consider this proposed lease agreement and prioritize the long-term interest for our students and our community members. We must protect and invest in our public schools, ensuring that every dollar, every child has the
Please
opportunity to
finish
receive
up.
higher quality education. Thank you.
Okay, we have heard from everyone who has signed the lists for the opponents and proponents. And so right now I am going to remind the committee that we will be taking some sort of action this evening, make a recommendation to the full council. I'm happy to entertain a discussion on this. I'm sure, yes, and certainly welcome the other counselors who have sat through this. Please participate in the discussion, and I'll start with Council President Miller.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Madam Chairwoman. As everyone knows, Carl Loro is in Ward 13 in Federal Hill in my neighborhood, and I am asking you to reject this proposal tonight. We heard, there's a few things, right? So I've been sitting here tonight just very appreciative of everyone who's come out, and also furious that we are sitting here making a decision that is pitting families against families and teachers against teachers. We, genuinely sick about it. We did not make the choices that set up a tiered system. We didn't make the choices that got us here. And yet, we have in front of us the only thing to do, which is make the choice about how we move forward, move ahead. Just a few days ago, you all heard from PPSD. You heard about the financial crisis the school department is facing. And unfortunately, every new seat in a charter school will expand that crisis. I can't say it. Is Naya still here? I cannot say it better than Naya said it. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Both on this side of the row and on the other side, I've spent a lot of nights in this building, in this room. I was never, almost brought to tears by anyone before tonight. The reality is, I want the joy, the love, the attention that students get. I got a chance to go visit with Councilwoman Ederaw Achievement First last week. It was great. It was great. There's music in every classroom. Truly joyful setting, truly joyful classroom. I heard some things about how students are supported well beyond, I think from Excel actually, how students are supported well beyond their time in the school. And I want that for every student in the city of Providence. And it is time, it is so past time that we stop kind of searching for outside solutions and dig in and do that work together. We have to, right? I will not give up on our students, every student in every school. I will not give up on our schools, every one of our schools. And so I'm asking you to reject this proposal, and I'm asking you to dig in, everyone who's here with every counselor. Thank you so much for folks who aren't on the finance committee for being here, to dig in and work together to set a path for taking back local control and making sure that the next counselors who are sitting in this seat aren't trying to make terrible decisions from terrible choices that were previously made. So, thank you.
Okay, so I've got a couple of hands. I'm going to call on Councilor Graves first, and then Councilor Harris, and then Councilor Sanchez.
As most of you probably know, I am a retired educator. I do believe that there's a lot of options. Some kids will thrive in different environments. That being said, I cannot see us right now. If it was even, I would say wonderful. but it's not even. And I can't see us continuing to build this one up as we tear this one down. We have to make it fair and just, and it's not anymore. I too will be voting against this because I'm rejecting this because I do not think it's fair. If the city was thriving and doing well, and both sides of the aisle were getting great treatment, then I would be 100% for this, but it's not. My other concern is if we're saying that a school is not inhabitable at one time, and then months and a couple of years later it is, either somebody's lying or we're putting a group of kids into an unhealthy environment. Both of those scenarios are terrible, both of them. So we have to look at each and everybody and do what's fair for everybody in the city of Providence. Shutting schools down, if it is a lie that there's nothing wrong with the schools, just so we can open up a charter school, is wrong. If there is something wrong with the school and we're putting those kids into jeopardy, that's wrong. We have to open up our hearts, our eyes, and our minds and realize that all of the students, all of the kids in our city are worthy. They all need to be able to get a really good education, and they all need to be able to feel like they're all playing on level ground. Right now, it doesn't appear to be like that. And I, for one, am not going to promote us, like I said, taking from one and uplifting the other. It's not fair, and I won't do it.
I'd appreciate it if everyone could keep their applause and snapping and everything. We're in committee right now trying to make a decision and have a discussion. So I'd appreciate it if everyone refrained from that. Yes, Councillor Harris. Can't hear you, so your mic is not working. You can.
Well, I'm used to standing
I'm
in the
so
chambers
sorry.
anyways. You know, I'm addressing the floor. Thank you, Madam Chair, for allowing me the opportunity to speak. You know, it's a lot to consider when you think of what's at hand today and the decisions that's being made. I just want to remind us of Brown versus the Board of Education, 1954. Everyone has the right to education. Since I've been on the council, been 10 years now, we have had such a struggle with our schools, public school, even more so that the state ended up intervening. We have to ask ourselves why. Are we providing the resources? Are we providing the necessary needs for the public schools? According to Brown versus the Board of Education, everybody has a right to quality education. Are we doing the right thing in that manner as leaders, public policymakers, and people who have a decision about how we fund our schools? I'm going to take this a little more of something, this is only coming from me, this is only my opinion. As I think about gentrification, as I think about my neighborhood, especially South Providence, how people are losing their homes and being displaced because they are people who have been grounded and lived and have done so much in the neighborhoods are now being pushed out of the neighborhood. Gentrification could be good, but displacement is really bad, and a lot of these kids are subject to that. I think it makes me think about stuff like, with the growth of charter schools, with the growth of this newness. And I really appreciate, by the way, all the testimonies that were given from both sides. I really appreciate the testimony that were given by Excel and Achievement First. I really appreciate it. I really wish our schools could operate for kids that some of my colleagues have said that may not make it in the same manner, that every kid is treated in the same manner. Every kid is given a fair opportunity for education, for a roof over their head, for a good job. I really hope that is what our future lanes. But as I think about the growth of the charter schools, I guess my question I'm going to propose here, is it here, especially in Providence, Rhode Island, because I'm a goal setter and I believe in goals, is it the goal to get rid of public schools altogether and bring in more charter? We have to just weigh it out, because if these kids are leaving public school, we need to think about why. And if it is the intention to gentrify the Providence, Rhode Island, bring in people with more resources for better schools, which may be the charters to them, I question. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you very much, Counselor. I'm going to let Counselor Sanchez, no, apparently I'm going to let Counselor Espinal speak. Thank you.
I have, thank you so much, Madam Chair, and thank you to all my colleagues for holding this public opinion, and thanks for everyone that is here today and had an opportunity to express themselves. This is a very critical moment. It's something that is very special, very dear to me. I am also a product of the Providence public school system, so are my kids. But what's interesting tonight, it's to hear two sides, and two sides at the same time have a lot of merit to what they're saying, because we're speaking about the education of our kids, the education of our future. And opportunities are here, opportunities are presented. We need to be careful as to how we vote and how we got here tonight. We are a body of 15. I personally think that every counselor should have an opportunity to vote on this, as there are members here from each of our wards. And I would like to have an opportunity to vote on this, but I am not a member of this committee, so that I will not be doing that. So my only ask here tonight, it's that we probably send it to the floor, and that we have every one of us, be granted an opportunity to vote on something that is so critical, that is so important. I do want my 02905, my zip code, my Ward 10, I do want them to know how I will vote on this, how much I value their opinion, and the education that I think that I can bring to them, bring an opportunity to the vote that I would offer. So that is my only ask, that we probably send it to the floor and give everyone an opportunity to vote on this. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Hold on just a minute. And I will say that, of course, the council has the ability to vote on this, as you know. It is the job of the Committee of Finance to make a recommendation. Of course, if there's going to be a motion made to pass it to the floor with no vote, that's certainly an option, but we really do believe it's very rare for our committee. We have done it on occasion, but it's very rare for our committee not to do our work and take a vote. So, but that does not at all mean that the council as a whole, as you know, they can take our recommendation or not. But I appreciate that.
Deeply appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Counselor Sanchez. I keep trying to say Royas. Oh my gosh.
Not as handsome as Royas.
I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, I'm ready to make a motion to reject this lease proposal.
Is there a second?
Madam Chair, I'll second the motion.
Okay. I think that we can do a voice vote on this. So the motion has been made to...
Madam Chair,
Oh, I'm sorry.
do you not allow me to speak?
I am sorry, Councilor
I don't
Vargas.
understand why my colleague is taking a vote so rush. Where's the rush?
I'm sorry, Counselor Vargas, I do apologize. You know I always like to let you speak, but I'm sorry, we have a motion on the floor. That was I said I was going to go in that order, and I'm sorry, but I went to Counselor Sanchez, and he made a motion. So if there's a motion and a second, we have to act on the motion and the second. It's not that we're shutting you out, and you certainly are.
I see that I'm unrespectful to a colleague that
Excuse-
you taking
I'm
this matter
sorry,
this way.
Councilman Vargas, I have to act according to, I'll ask the solicitor.
That is correct.
Okay, so I'm sorry, it is correct. There is a motion
I
on
had
the
the right
table.
to discussion too, Madam Chair.
It's over. I'm sorry. I am going to take a vote on this because that is,
I will speak anyway.
I am
Even
sorry,
if you're a motion on
Counselor.
the floor, I will go against the
Counselor
rules.
Vargas, you are out of
Sir,
order.
you're out of order.
And that has been confirmed by the city solicitor. So that is, I am sorry. Now, all in favor of the motion to reject the lease? Can we speak up, please?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
All right, that is 4, and I am also voting aye. I mean, to reject. So that is a 4-1 vote. So with that, I would like we have other things on our agenda. There were the finance items. I would like to waive the readings and continue them. May I have a motion?
Second.
Motion made by Counselor Graves, seconded by Counselor Sanchez. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion to adjourn.
Motion to continue matter.
That's already done.
Oh,
Now
I
I'm
thought that
looking
was
for a
waiving the
motion to
readings.
adjourn.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
May I have a second? Second motion made by Counselor Anderbaugh, seconded by Counselor Graves. All in favor? Aye. All opposed?